that is very USA themed. This is Hulk Hogan standing up for America, taking on Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter, who was a massive babyface back in the 80s. He very much represented America. Even went into G.I. Joe as well, and there's like G.I. Joe figures of Sergeant Slaughter that you can get. And he stood up to like the Iron Sheik and really represented America. But in 1991, he turned his back on the USA. He became an Iraqi sympathizer, and it all set up the mega match that was Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter. And it takes place in Los Angeles. We've got loads to talk about with this WrestleMania. It's such an interesting WrestleMania, and we are right in my wheelhouse here. We are right in my specialist subject area, because I love early 90s WWE. I think it is amongst my favourite. If anyone ever asks me, what's your favourite time in WWE? I always say late 80s, early 90s. It was just amazing. It's just amazing. Like, the characters were amazing. The way that I was discovering and consuming wrestling was very different as well. And I do sometimes wonder, if I was to sit down and watch every weekly show of WWE back then as I do now, would I have loved it as much? Would I have loved, or would I have had too much of it? Because I think part of it was the fact that I was just having to watch shows whenever I could. I was young, and I was literally having to get like videotapes given to me by my cousin who had Sky. I mean, if you had Sky in the early 90s, like, you were well off, right? And we were not well off. So we didn't have Sky. So we had a few like extra channels, but we certainly didn't have Sky Sports. So there was no way of watching WWE for me. So I was very much having to rely on my cousin just giving me videotapes. And it was him that got me into wrestling. So I do wonder if I was to go back, and also, you know, if I knew that it was all scripted back then, would it have felt the same? Probably not. Probably not. So I do wonder. It's so hard to look back and go, well, if I watched all of it, every weekly show, would I have loved it as much? Would I have loved it as much if the internet was around? Would I have loved it as much if everything kept getting spoilt? Would I have loved it as much if, we basically took that world and dropped it into today? And I don't know that I would. And it was something I was thinking about, like, as we were building towards this stream. It was just something fun and interesting to throw around, and I was kind of like, I reckon that'd be a really good topic for like us to get our teeth into as we watch this show. We'll start in about 5 minutes' time, so I can see we've got a super chat. Big shout out to everyone that's joining us, so we'll get to that in a sec. 5 minutes, we'll start the watch along, and we will get our teeth into that conversation. We are also... Hang on, let me just close this. Got a little pop-up that's popped up. Close that down. So, yes, in about 5 minutes, we will start the show. I've got a few facts and things to go through. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be chilled. It's been a while since you've done one of these retro watch-alongs, so it's going to be nice and chilled. So, I'm just putting that out there so that people know what to expect. But my eyes are stinging a little. If you are looking at me thinking, oh, he looks a bit strange, because I don't know how I look, because I never really look at myself. Once you know you're perfect, you don't need to. So, but my eyes are really stinging. I think I might have worn my contact lenses a bit too much. And all of a sudden now my eyes are like starting to give me like a bit of discomfort. I'm going through discomfort, guys. I need sympathy. So, yeah, my eyes are just a little bit uncomfortable. So, if it looks like I'm tearing up or something like this, it's not. It's because my contact lenses are just causing a little bit of bother today. So, but a big shout out to everyone that's joining us. Jason says, Days, I'm heartbroken. My fiance broke up with me. I did see this, Jason. Just before we went live, I saw you chatting to Austin, I think, and mentioning it. Obviously, I wasn't going to mention it, but I did see you mention it. I'm really sorry to hear that, dude. I mean, the only thing I would say is, like, give her a bit of space. If it's only just happened, it might not be the end of the world. You know, if you've been in a relationship before, they can be very turbulent at times. Obviously, you know, there's a million and one things to disagree over when you're in a relationship. So most relationships, I would say all relationships, go through problem patches. So could it just be that? So I don't know, dude. You have to kind of weigh up where you are, what the reasonings are, and hopefully it's something that can get resolved. But either way, obviously, horrible thing to be going through. So shout out to you, Jason. Feel free to just, you know, drop some things in the chat if you want to get people's opinions on the right way forward. Because of Tommy, we've spoken a lot about relationships. We're experts now. There's no two ways about it. We are dating and relationship experts in this community, so we can help you whatever the problem, mate. Whatever the problem, we can work this through. So shout out to you, Jason. Austin said you're still looking sexy. LSW said, guys, Daisy's crying. He's just trying to hide it. I know. It's exactly right. Just before I started, I was like, I've got to spend another evening with LSW. Why do I keep doing this to myself? Good evening, Days. This was the second WrestleMania that I watched in full. The first was WrestleMania 6. I was just like you, watching these on videos as well. That's amazing, Graham. Shout out to you, dude. I mean, I honestly couldn't tell you what WrestleMania this was for me. It's going to have been around my 4th, 5th WrestleMania that I saw. So, very early as well. My first one was 9, and my second one was when I got a videotape at a car boot, and that was 5. So, I was kind of really jumping all over the place. So, I know that I got to 7 quite quickly. I mean, as you know what you're like as a kid. Once you've got the taste of something, you just want to surround yourself in it. So every weekend I was going out looking for videotapes. So I know I would have got WrestleMania 7 quite quick. And I love it, man. This is something else. I mean, shout out to you, Graham. That's amazing that you can remember your first WrestleMania and whatever. But one of the other things that I was thinking about was I wonder if as well the fact that I wasn't really watching the build to the shows means that the shows meant more. The reason I say this is because, like, when you're watching Raw and SmackDown every week, you kind of go into, say, WrestleMania 37 or WrestleMania 36. You go into the shows with, like, already an idea of, I wouldn't have booked this. I think the way they've built this is bad. Or the booking for this has been bad. Or this match would have been better. Do you know what I mean? Like, you go into it with a few negatives. And I don't think it's just me. I would hate to think it was just me, but I'm pretty sure we all go into pay-per-views going, why have they done that? Why didn't they do this? That would have been better. And you don't do that as a kid. Like, as a kid, and certainly before the internet, you weren't doing that. And I wasn't watching the builds either, so you would just get a videotape of matches. You didn't know the stories. You didn't know, like, why they were fighting. You'd have to learn that through the show and the recaps. I mean, they've always done great video packages. So you would learn very quickly why they were fighting and learn the storylines. And they've always been fantastic at that, WWE, bringing you up to speed. I know, like, we get bored of watching the replays and whatever, but someone in, like, 100 years' time, if they come back and want to catch up with this and check some of this out, like, they'll be able to just pick it up like that because the video packages are so good. But I do wonder, like, as a kid, you'd sit there and you'd learn about them and go, right, okay, so that's why they're fighting. So who do I want to win? And you pick a winner and you cheer for them, or might be someone you're familiar with, like Jake the Snake, so you're going to cheer for him anyway, and so on, so on, so on. But it's different these days, isn't it? Because now we're a lot more involved in the build. Well, certainly I am. Watching a lot more wrestling than I was as a kid because I wasn't able to. So I wonder if that, like, takes away as well. I do think that, like, WWE isn't as good as it used to be. I don't think the characters are as good as they used to be. I don't think, like, I don't feel a connection. A lot of people ask me, who's your favourite wrestler? And it's like, it's easy to say Roman because I really like the Roman story. But there's not really many people past that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I look at Asuka, and I really like Asuka. I think she's colourful. I think she's fantastic in the ring. I think she's got a really bubbly personality. But I do think she is legit one of the best female wrestlers they've ever had. But I start to look at the rest of the roster, and it's all just a bit, it's just a bit bland. There's no Macho Man. Do you know what I mean? There's no Ultimate Warrior. I think this is why The Fiend enjoys so much support. Because he really is like an out there gimmick character that, you know, you could argue would fit in the 90s. I mean, like, it's kind of got that Papa Shango vibe. It's kind of Undertaker turned up to 12. It's, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's, you could see that it would fit back then. And I think there is a need and a desire for that. And we're going to see tons of those characters on this show. Not Fiend characters, but just gimmicks, solid gimmicks. Do you know what I mean? Like Jake the Snake. Like, this is the first Undertaker wrestle. This is where the streak begins. Obviously, Hogan, like Mr. USA. Sergeant Slaughter, who's an Iraqi sympathizer. I think he comes down with an Iraqi flag as well. We've got Demolition on this show, so yeah, man, there's going to be lots of those kind of gimmicks for us to get our teeth into. I love this era of wrestling, I really do. Well, I like WrestleMania 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. I've got a problem with those WrestleManias, to be honest. Now that I'm sitting here, we are going to start this. This isn't just a chat. We will start this. But 32, I thought was big, but I didn't think had great matches. 33, I think, might be the strongest out of them. Or 34. 33 and 34, I probably, they're the two that I enjoyed the most out of 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37. 37 I thought was good to get a crowd back, but I mean, outside of the Bianca moment and maybe the main event of night 2, I didn't really feel like it set the world on fire. Like, there was no real shock moments. Like, Bayley was running her mouth off and the Bellas push her down the ramp. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no, oh my god, this happened moment that everyone's buzzing about. I feel like Belair winning the title was the big moment. Which was great, don't get me wrong, absolutely brilliant, but considering it was split across 2 nights, and there was a lot of matches, and there was a lot of like, yeah, that was good, that's kind of how I sum up 37. 36, I think, is just awful now. Like, now that I look back on it, I just think it's awful. No crowd, Performance Center, feels small, they tried their best, but it just doesn't feel like a WrestleMania. It really doesn't feel like a WrestleMania. 35 is too long. 35, man, it's just so bloated. Goes on forever. I think it's still going. But as I said, 33, 34, I do rate those. Hard to pick between them. When I think of 34, the first thing that comes to mind is Asuka losing to Charlotte, but I thought it was a very good match. I also think about the stage, which was brilliant. When I think about 33, I think about Hardy Boys returning, and what a moment that was. That was awesome, the big long ramp. So those are the ones that come to mind. I can't even quite remember what the main events were, to be perfectly honest. I've got a feeling that, was it 33 that was Undertaker walking away? It was, wasn't it? Undertaker Roman with the coat and the hat. That was not a good match at all. So bad, the Undertaker actually came back out of retirement because he said he didn't want to end on that. It was the perfect way to end, though, taking off the coat, the hat, and that was a great moment. So 33 is all right in places. What was the main event of 34? Is that the Brock Roman main event that no one was interested in? And then Brock amazingly wins. And, like, no one was expecting it. I remember everyone booing that match. No one was interested. Everyone thought Roman was winning. And then Brock ends up winning. And I think people were so uninvested that when Brock won, everyone was like, oh, well, I didn't expect that. Well, let's go. Well, yeah, no, they've swerved us. I wasn't expecting that. Oh. Okay, well, that's the show done. Let's go. Have you got your coat? Come on, then. Kind of felt very anticlimactic. I think we'd seen that match too many times, to be honest. I think it needed a different main event. We should probably get going, man. I said 7 minutes ago we were going to get going. I'm still here just nattering away. Edward Brown, shout out to you. Appreciate the support, dude. Appreciate the support. So, let's get the ball rolling. This is a WrestleMania that runs for 3.5 hours. And it's, as we said, one that I think is enjoyable. I'm going to skip... No, I'm not going to skip anything. Okay, so in 3, 2, 1... We are up and running. So the ball is rolling. We've got the Stars and Stripes. World Wrestling Federation. Look at that. Winged Eagle. Winged Eagle. Da da da. The music as well is just rocks, doesn't it? Da 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 da. Da 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 da. These video... You don't get these kind of opens now. Now it's all like this... I just love this kind of retro, old-school graphics intro. We're at the Los Angeles Sports Arena. And we were meant to be in the Coliseum. But they had to move. And the reason they had to move is because of a couple of reasons. First of all, there was a... security problem. So the Coliseum could hold 100,000, and apparently they could not sell those tickets. They'd sold something like 15,000 out of 100,000, and that was a problem, obviously. So not only did they have that issue, but they also had the problem that so many people hated Sergeant Slaughter. They were going to have to spend like so much money on security. They decided to just move it across. I think we're literally over the road. But this is just an arena that can hold 20,000. And I never noticed he's wearing... Look at that. He's wearing a replica belt. I never noticed that before. He's wearing a kid's toy belt. Why didn't they give him a real belt? This is Willie Nelson. So Willie Nelson is singing. He's got, I think, like a Hogan shirt on. And I have never noticed this before. In all my times of watching this, I have never noticed. He's wearing a replica belt. A kid's replica belt. Why? It looks like he's got Bret Hart glasses on. He's got a Hogan bandana. Has he just, like, robbed the merch stand? What's he done? Has he just gone up and, like... and walked away and done the thing? Yeah, why has he got the replica belt? And why is it so awful? Why have they not given him a proper belt to go out and wear or something? Either way, we're done. When do you think WWE changed from being interesting to a little bland within the characters not connecting? I felt 2018 things went downhill. I think it's just been a gradual decline, to be honest. I definitely think that during the pandemic things, I think they completely lost direction during the pandemic. So I'm not going to say it was the pandemic that it all started changing. But I think during the pandemic without fans, they were just completely in the dark and not quite knowing what the right way forward was, not quite knowing what the right thing to do is. I mean, you can write book after book after book about the pandemic era of WWE, and I'm sure there will be books written about it and documentaries made about it and shoot interviews from behind the scenes and whatnot. Look at this. I mean, it's so USA. Look at Hacksaw Jim Duggan coming down here. So yeah, I think it was a gradual decline, but I definitely think the pandemic did not help. We've got Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and we've got Gorilla Monsoon. Hey, Mattel could make that as a hacksaw figure, couldn't they? Why have they never made that? Him in full-on USA. Look at the big hat that he's got on and everything. If ever they want a different, interesting hacksaw figure to make, that would be alright. Austin said, I think things went downhill after Shield broke up. CM Punk left and the Wyatt family got mistreated. Its last great year was 2016. I can vibe with that. I can definitely vibe with that. This is when WWE run a budget. It's good, man. Bring the belt back for the good old USA. We've got stars and stripes flags everywhere. This is the final WrestleMania for Marty Jannetty. He never appears on WrestleMania again. So we got the Rockers backstage. Shawn, Michaels, Marty Jannetty. So this is 91 by early 92. Is it late 91 or early 92 when we get the barbershop? I think it's early 92. I think it's like January of 92 we get the barbershop. And the Rockers split. WWE Now is my favourite, says Edward. High Flyer said, I heard there's an American-made Ultimate Hogan on the way. Is there? That would be very cool. That would be very cool. I've got the old one. So if they do an Ultimate American-made, that would be great. Right, Rockers. About to take on Haku and the Barbarian. So starting off with the tag match. Bobby the Brain in the ring. What a team, man, the Rockers were. What a great team. So exciting. Shame that they don't want to make any more Martys, Mattel, because you could make so many different Rockers attires. And this one, look at this one. Brilliant. Black with, like, what would you call it? Lime green? Kind of tassels. It's quite the look. It's quite the look. Days, I've got a question. Is there a haunted doll on this show? Unfortunately not, no. I mean, wrestling was pretty weird back in 91, but we weren't that weird. It didn't reach them levels. I have a cool idea for my channel. I think you will love it. Go for it. What you doing? James Chadwick says, Hogan Slaughter, the greatest Mania main event of all time. Joking. James Chadwick, shout out to you. Hasib said, my era for WWE is 08 to 2010. That's when I was into the product the most. Harley, shout out to you. I hope you are well. Right, Shawn Michaels caught. I think do you know what? I don't even know how many matches we've got or anything here. I know we run for 3.5 hours. And I think there's quite a few. Wow, 14. We've got 14 matches. The only thing I would say is a lot of them, looking at the run times, are short. So, it's actually 15 matches, but the first one was a dart match. And it was Coco Beware beat the Brooklyn Brawler. So that's what these people have been treated to already. Just before this, they saw Coco Beware beat the Brooklyn Brawler. How did you fall in love with wrestling? Headbutt by Haku. I fell in love with wrestling because of my cousin. I've said many times he was watching it round my Nana Grandad's, and I used to go round every weekend. And, you know, it's always great to see my cousins. And he was just watching it one week, and it was just like, what is this? I mean, you can't even explain it. I'd never seen wrestling. I didn't know what it was. And it was just like, just my mind was blown. It was so fun and colourful and exciting and everything that you love about wrestling, you know. Nice double teamwork by Marty and Shawn. You can see the Young Bucks in the Rockers. And you can see where Young Bucks have got a lot of their kind of like attire inspiration from. And a lot of their like high-flying moveset as well. They're definitely influenced by the Rockers. Best match, Warrior Macho. We've got some fantastic matches on this, yeah. Absolutely brilliant. One of the greatest WrestleMania matches ever. Ultimate Warrior versus Macho King Randy Savage in a retirement match. The loser... was it the loser had to retire? Retirement match, yes. Days, if I remember, the two main matches, Slaughter Hogan and Macho King Warrior, last for around 45 minutes. I can have a quick look. Let me have a look. Yes, you're right. So it runs for 3.5 hours, and we're already 10 minutes in, and 40 minutes of that is going to be the two main events. This obviously is going to be the fast-paced tag match to ease us into the show. And you can see the old-school railings. We've got the red, white, and blue ropes, which were standard at that time, but obviously very much fit into this WrestleMania. And as we said, you know, the Rockers, much loved, did very well in that recent Top 50 WWE Tag Team poll. But officially never became or never won the championships. Sort of amazing, isn't it, that they did so well in that top 50 tag team thing, but were never champions. Never tag team champions. Marty Jannetty hung out over that top rope, bounces back into the middle of the ring. So holding on to his throat. Marty definitely feeling that, and Bobby the Brain on the outside. Good little team, Barbarian and Haku. Wish they'd been given like a proper team name. Against the ropes goes Marty. Back elbow by Haku. Heenan was an amazing heel manager. Probably the best ever, and Heyman has got to be second. DTC says, a cool thing is if they made a new figure of the Rockers, it would be cool to see people pick fed with them. Austin said, Days, what would be your reaction if Lily came out the briefcase and physically handed Alexa the briefcase? I can't even joke about it. I just think... I can't even joke about it. Moldy Spoon said, my first WrestleMania match was Batista versus Undertaker. My dad took me as a kid to get a DVD from the shop as my brother was already hooked. I remember being scared of Undertaker and loving Batista. LSW said, all Rockers matches are really interesting. Well, this is a good one right here, where Marty is actually in big trouble. Crowd desperate for him to make the tag to Shawn. Goes against the ropes, duck underneath. Oh, they kind of both crossbody. That's a bit of a botch there. Looks like Haku was trying to crossbody Marty, but Marty crossbodies Haku. He gets the pin, but both manage to pop back up into the corner. Hard goes Marty Jannetty. It's a weird commentary team as well of Hacksaw and Gorilla Monsoon. I've got a feeling that a lot of the shows up to this WrestleMania had been with Jesse the Body. I don't know. I can't remember what year Jesse left, but it can't have been long before this. Because this is a very weird commentary team. This wasn't a commentary team we got often. Because Hacksaw was a wrestler. Against the ropes goes Marty. Clothesline by Barbarian. I would probably laugh at first and then later complain about it, says Austin. I bet they were going to get the whole build for Cena Roman, and then in the last week it's confirmed that Cena is pregnant and the match is cancelled. And it will turn out to be Ric Flair's. Aled said, if you Google what is Steve Kerr, the coach of the Golden State Warriors' son's name, I will super chat you $53. Well, I don't need you to super chat me $53. Why don't you just tell us what it is called? Jamie said, Days and chat, if you could bring back one wrestler that has died or retired, who would you bring back? Well, there we go. We'll throw that to the chat. Josh says, I know what's inside the real Money in the Bank briefcase. It is a multi-pack of blue Ray-Ban, a Sprite, and the meaning of life. Hacksaw Jim Duggan is there because he's the one that took the King's Crown from Haku and then he lost it to Savage. Whoa! Did you see Marty? Marty jumped from the corner and Barbarian catches him in the air and hits a power slam. Didn't go for the pin, really should have. Marty is down. He's taken some real punishment here. That was a big power slam. Barbarian up top. Oh, headbutt. Looked sloppy. Crowd are going crazy now as Marty is able to move out the way. He's trying to crawl his way over towards Shawn Michaels. He's trying to get there. Barbarian tags in Haku and Shawn gets tagged in. Mr. WrestleMania is in the ring. Back elbow by Shawn. Nice strikes by Shawn as well. Shawn pulling out all the stops. It's a lot of this stuff isn't pretty, you know. A lot of the moves they're doing, like the headbutt from Barbarian, doesn't look great. Shawn just tries to like do a crossbody to Barbarian, doesn't look great. But what I do like about it is it looks real. It looks like he's just going for it. He's just trying to. I don't know. I kind of like the fact it's not like 1,000% polished. Against the ropes goes Marty. Clothesline. Down goes Haku. Referee. Starts counting, but Barbarian breaks the pin. Double drop kick by the Rockers. Double clothesline. Haku goes down. Marty's going up top. Shawn's going up top. Drop kick by Marty. Haku getting back up to his feet. Cross body by Shawn. 2, 3, and the Rockers win. Crowd loved it, man. She loved it. Look. The two of them hugging on the outside. Brilliant. Days, out of all the wrestling matches, what is the greatest? I think Shawn and Undertaker at 25. There's other matches that, you know, if someone wanted to say that it was Omega and Okada, or if someone wanted to say it was Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat, or if someone wanted to say it was CM Punk, John Cena, or... I mean, I'd get all that. But for me, I actually watched Shawn versus Undertaker from WrestleMania 25. I watched that with a non-wrestling fan. I remember watching it with them, and they couldn't believe it. They were absolutely hooked. I saw the impact it had on a non-wrestling fan. Someone that didn't care about wrestling. They watched that match, and they were totally 100% invested. Could not be more invested. They absolutely were right there with it. So I think that it was a great match. It was two of the best ever. It was wonderful psychology, so many close falls. It was the streak was on the line. If someone was going to break it, you'd think it would be Shawn. It was just brilliant. It was just brilliant. I do think the botched spot really makes it as well. You know, he goes against the ropes and comes down like that. The fact that during that match, Undertaker went through something that clearly was not meant to happen, and like, you know, could have broken his neck, could have ended his life. The fact that that happens in that match, I think actually makes the match. You know, seeing a bump like that, and for you to be genuinely concerned because you know that's not meant to happen. Like, it's just got this edge of realism to it as well. Like, wow, like, is he all right? Like, even Shawn said that he was just lying there on the outside, not knowing if, like, the match was going to continue or not. Just didn't know if it could continue because of that spot. And I think that spot is so important to that match. We are just backstage with some celebrities. Regis, I know him. Days, have you seen John Moxley shaved his head? Renee doesn't know how to feel about it. Wow, she should just be thankful that he's not got a big tattoo there. Hey, Dino Bravo! I've got so much respect for Dino Bravo. I used to think that he was just really bland, and I was never like a big fan of Dino Bravo's. But I was always quite intrigued by him because I didn't know much about him, and he looks incredible. Right, he looks like an amazing wrestler. He's quite big, you know, Dino Bravo. But when I watched that Dark Side, and it's about how popular he was in Canada. Oh, look at this Texas Tornado, and he's got a prosthetic foot. Texas Tornado. He had his foot amputated. I never knew any of this. So he's wrestling here with a fake foot. I mean, he's a Von Erich. Kerry Von Erich. That the Von Erich family in Texas just are wrestling. Just are wrestling. So, this is a great match, you know. This is a great match. Kerry Von Erich versus Dino Bravo. Clothesline to the outside. Texas Tornado was awesome, man. He was kind of like the... I saw him a bit like the Ultimate Warrior's younger brother. I wish they had a team together. Could you imagine Texas Tornado and Ultimate Warrior in a tag team? I wonder if that ever happened. Duck underneath. Nice. And a clothesline. Dino Bravo goes down. But yeah, Dino Bravo was massive in Canada. And if you get a chance to watch the Dino Bravo Dark Side do it, he ends up leaving wrestling and becoming like... works for a gang. Is it like something to do with drugs? Ends up getting killed. Falls in with the wrong crowd. In the corner, big boot by Dino Bravo. Texas Tornado goes down. Days, what moment do you think needs fans at 36 more? Otis kissing Mandy or Drew getting his WrestleMania moment? Drew, because I think that Otis now is the best he's ever been. What they're doing with Otis right now, I'm really into it. I love it. I love this no-nonsense, serious, moody, doesn't crack a smile. He's just there to kill people. He's just there to act. Did you see what he did to Angelo Dawkins? It was fantastic. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Like, just completely manhandled him. Shoulder up by Kerry. So, yeah, even though, like, Otis was getting over with people, I love what they're doing with him right now. Bit sloppy there by Dino. You can see as well, this is obviously before the steroid trial, so you can see how big these people are. Like, you don't get some of this size naturally. There's definitely some chemicals helping out here. Dino on the... Man, Dino Bravo just cannot come off the turnbuckle at all. The way he just kind of, like, skipped off the turnbuckle looked a bit awkward. But he's got the claw applied. I think... Do you know, it's really cool to see him use the claw, because I think that was his dad's move. I think Fritz von Erich used to use the claw. Kind of harkbacks to his dad. He's got the claw applied on Dino. Dino is a bit wobbly and a big strike. Dino goes down. 1, 2, 3, and Texas Tornado wins. There we go. A bit of a squash win there for the Tornado. Days, I'm starting back weight training tomorrow. I haven't done it for a year due to mental health. I've brought some so I can do it at home. Wish me luck. Good luck to you, dude. Good luck to you. Best thing to do is to get into a routine. If you know, like 6 o'clock every day, you do half an hour. And, you know, even if it is just half an hour, it's better than nothing, isn't it? But just get into that routine of just every day I do this at this time. Warlord. Warlord. Do you know the Warlord faced the British Bulldog at every pay-per-view in 91? They had a little face-off at the Royal Rumble. They face each other here. They face each other at SummerSlam. They are on opposing teams at Survivor Series. They even face each other at Tuesday night in Texas at the end of the year. It's a fact that we've shared before when we did the Tuesday night at Texas watch-along. Slick, man, slick. Could you imagine if they dressed someone up like Warlord these days? Could you imagine how Twitter would respond? I sort of really like I really like that. That kind of half mask. It's interesting. So used to full masks. Seeing like a partial mask like that is cool. Is that Matilda? Or Winston? The Warlord says that the Bulldog can't break his full Nelson. Winston. Oh, God, it's amazing, isn't it? Isn't it just the best? Isn't it just the best? The British Bulldog. I mean, when you're a kid in the UK and you've never seen any of this before, the fact there's someone from Britain, do you know what I mean, just blows your mind. And the fact that he's the size of what he is, it's like... You can't get your head around how you've never heard of him. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. Winston. He's huge, isn't he, Davey? He's absolutely huge. I haven't got the figure. You can get a figure of Davey with the dog. Mattel have done it. I'd buy that. I'd buy that in a flash. Dun 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 dun. Days, my dream match is Ultimate Warrior versus Montez Ford, the Battle of the Rope Shaking. Wrestling Days says, I like Bret Hart versus Owen. That's the best Mania match. Great match. Eric Defcom Prime Dirigi said the British Bulldogs were my favourite tag team. And then the Islanders ate Matilda. Did they? Did they? I don't remember that story at all. I'm going to Google that. Islanders Matilda. They stole her. They run off with the building. Conquer kid. It says, Dynamite and Davy Boy chased unsuccessfully after the pet, and after a few weeks, the whereabouts of the dog were unknown. WWF President Jack Tunney suspended the Islanders until Matilda was found, although in the storyline, it was never really explained where the animal had been. So, I don't know that they did eat her. But they certainly stole her. Did they get her back? I don't know if they got her back. Uh, 1987, apparently. They steal the dog. I can't see if they ever got her back. Well, hopefully she wasn't eaten. Days, do you think England can win the Cricket World Cup? And do you think if they win the Euros and the Cricket World Cup, we'll see England dominate sport for years to come? No, I think they're unconnected, but I don't think this means England are going to dominate sport. I think England are always there or thereabouts with things. Like, they always stand a good chance. Like, we take sport very seriously. So, you know, we're always going to be competitive. Can they win the cricket? I have no idea. I honestly have no idea how the team is in relation to the other teams. So when it comes to cricket, I enjoy watching it, but my knowledge of where the different countries are and all that in regards to their teams is, I don't know. So could England win it? I would have to think they've got a chance because they've been quite successful in recent years, but I can't really base it on any more than that. When it comes to the football, they've got a chance. Wednesday will be one of the biggest games I've ever seen. If they get through to the final, I've never seen England in a final. If England get through to a final, that is the biggest match I've ever seen. I would put that over Man United being in Champions League finals. Like England being in the final of Euros. So it's huge. It's a massive week. Massive week. Warlord in control. Was there ever a peak buzz in wrestling for you? What do you mean, buds? What do you mean by peak buzz? Don't quite know what that means. XF Liv says Cornette talks about Matilda. Says Dynamite wasn't that nice to it, and Davey didn't care to have to travel with the dog. Yeah, I did hear this. It was very disappointing. Very disappointing. I mean, you want to know the animals being looked after. I like the old camera. Hello, Alexa Bliss Gamer. Shout out to you. Connor says WWE sucks. Esteban said, I don't know about cricket. Always interested me, though. Is it similar to US baseball? We can have a cricket conversation if you want, but it's a bit complex. I don't even know if I would know enough about baseball to be able to compare the two. But basically, someone bowls the ball, and then someone hits it. And if you can get it to go to the rope, you get 4 runs. If it goes straight over the rope, like doesn't touch the ground before, you get 6. If it goes like you hit it and you're able to run, like before the ball comes back, then you get runs. You could get 1 run, 2 run, and that's how a team scores. And what the bowling team trying to do is they're trying to get you to hit it and someone to catch it, you're out. Or they're trying to knock down the stumps behind you. You'd be out that way as well. There's other ways of getting out, but it's a bit complicated. But yeah, and then like as soon as your 10 batsmen have all gone, then it's the other team's turn to bat. So that's cricket in a nutshell. There's obviously a bit more to it than that, but by and large, that's cricket. And there's different forms, but the different forms just tend to be different lengths. So it could be 20-20, and that means that only so many balls get bowled, and regardless of how many people are out, the teams then change. Could be 50-50, which again is more balls being bowled, but it's the same idea. Or it could be test, and there's no limit in test. You just play for as long as it takes for the teams to get out. The only limit is the game's got to be done in 5 days, which sounds like a lot of time, but it can get quite close, actually. I love test cricket. I think test cricket's fantastic. I think because it tests everything. It tests you physically. It tests you mentally. It tests everything. You know what I mean? Like, you could walk out with your team getting absolutely battered, and you've got to just go out there and you've got to just grind away, knowing that hour after hour after hour you're still losing. But you've just got to do your best. And there's been so many times where teams have turned it around, and it's you know, all thanks to like people's performances. It's not much like cricket. Cricket at its best is, I don't want to say better than anything else, but it's incredible. It's kind of like all sports though. Football at its best. I think we've seen football at its best recently with the Euros. British Bulldog in a bit of trouble here. Full Nelson applied. He said he was going to break it. I love the full Nelson. Big fan. Bobby Lashley's doing a great... Someone will do this to Lashley. Lashley's putting people away with the Hurt Lock. Someone will break out of the Hurt Lock eventually like this. Look at that. I wish Warlord had just took a bit longer there. Davey breaks it, and he picks up Warlord. Look at this. Bulldog wins. So much noise coming from this crowd. This is a real passionate crowd, man. What I really like about this match is it doesn't outstay its welcome. It's short. It's two powerhouses going at each other. And the story was, could he break out of the full Nelson? Can he power slam Warlord? And that's the story. So all you've got to do in the match is just them two things. You've just got to break out of the full Nelson, and he's got to deliver that power slam. And the match builds up to that, and he does it. And that's enough. In this match, that's all the crowd needed. This was never meant to be a 5-star classic. It just, they laid the foundation of what, you know, could he do it? He goes out and he does it. And massive pop, people love it. We've got the Nasty Boys backstage. Cricket is kind of like baseball, but it's also not like baseball. Can you tell I'm American? Happy 4th, everyone. Ryan, shout out to you. Days, how did Nikki and Alexa go from two normal wrestlers to where one is a creepy woman version of The Fiend and the other is a superhero in just a year? Well, it's certainly split opinion, hasn't it, as to whether it's been a good thing or not. I like Super Nikki. I really like Super Nikki because she wasn't getting anywhere. She wasn't getting TV time. She needed something to get her teeth into. And so, you know, I know a lot of people wanted to go back to being like when she was in Sanity, but they were never going to go back to that because they would have gone back to it by now. Like, she's moved on from that a long time ago. And so she was never going to go back to that. So I think they were looking for something new for her. And apparently she came up with this Super Nikki idea. And it's just her as a wrestler, but dressed as a superhero. Like, she said she's got no superpowers. She said that it's about believing in yourself. It's a good positive message. I can see kids being into it. Wrestlers dressing up as superheroes goes back like, do you know what I mean? It's like Wrestling 101. It's we've seen it time after time after time, so this isn't something different. It's something we've seen before. I mean, I think Mighty Molly was trending, and Hurricane was definitely trending when she unveiled it. So, I ain't got no issue with it. I ain't got an issue with it at all. I think you've got to serve different needs in wrestling, but I think they're doing this a really good way. Something for the kids. Do you know what I mean? Believe in yourself and whatever, and I could kind of see little girls dressing up as Super Nikki for Halloween and all that kind of stuff. It's a good message, isn't it? Believe in yourself, whatever. That's kind of Wrestling 101. Never give up. Do you know what I mean? That was Cena's catchphrase. If you're a babyface, that's the kind of message that you tend to portray. Hogan, say your prayers, eat your vitamins. So, Nikki, you don't need superpowers to be super kind of gimmick. I like it. It works for me. Could they do something better? Sure. I'm not saying this is the best thing they could do. Could they do something better? Yes. Are they? Probably not. But it's better than not using her. Right. Nasty boys. Here's Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart in this Nasty Boys attire would be good. We've had the Nasty Boys as elites. But it'd be great if we had a Jimmy Hart in Nasty Boys attire. Jimmy Hart with that, like, helmet on. He had so many distinctive looks, Jimmy Hart. I think the figures they've done of him have been a bit underwhelming, to be honest. You could do some really great Jimmy Hart action figures. Right, Nasty Boys. And they are facing the Hart Foundation. Wow, this will be amazing. This is the final time that we see Jim the Anvil as well on at WrestleMania. It's his last WrestleMania. Don't know what that kid was doing. Right, here comes Bret. Jim the Anvil. Bret's glasses are silver. He hasn't got the pink ones at this stage. I don't know if he's got them or is alternating them or if he just hasn't gone to the pink ones yet. But he's got the kind of silver reflective shades. And I haven't got a clue what Jim the Anvil's wearing. He's got some kind of like pink hat on. Look at that. And look at that. Jimmy Hart looks amazing. Is that Macaulay Culkin? Is that Macaulay Culkin? Yeah, he doesn't want to be home alone with the Nasty Boys. There we go. I have to admit that Bret was my favourite wrestler of this era. I was a fan of the Hart Foundation, and Bret's singles matches were quality wrestling. Antonio said the only Hart Foundation member who never had a WrestleMania match is Brian Pillman. Days was Anvil who? Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Bret's brother-in-law? And one half of the Hart Foundation tag team. Drew's a babyface. He needs a catchphrase. Do your push-ups and eat your cornflakes. Hasib said I did. He was injured for most part. Wrestle with Andy. Days, I've got an original vintage t-shirt bought at this event. Have you? You've got a WrestleMania 7 t-shirt from this event. Like, it's not like a reprint. Where did you get that? Was that an eBay job? And what is it? Is it like the main design? The Hulk Hogan. I've seen a few people in the crowd wearing a WrestleMania 7 Hulk Hogan with the flag black t-shirt. I would guess at something like that. It's very interesting. Retro t-shirts are worth a bit of money as well. wrestling retro t-shirts. Original wrestling retro t-shirts. There's a big market for it. Peak buzz, as in the best time in wrestling. Best time in wrestling. I don't know, man. I mean, it's difficult. It's really difficult. I mean, I feel like Stone Cold would be the peak. If you used to look at, like, interest and pops and all that, I feel like it probably peaks with Stone Cold in the Attitude Era. Stone Cold and Mr. McMahon. I'm not sure that it gets bigger than that in regards to reaction. I think that might even top Andre Hogan. But I think image-wise, if you want to talk about what is wrestling, I would show, if an alien came down and I wanted to try and explain wrestling, I would show them Andre and Hogan, because I think that to me is just that is wrestling. Good guy, bad guy. There's muscles, the size, the spectacle. Andre larger than life, of course. I mean, it's just got everything, hasn't it? And it's the main event of one of the biggest WrestleManias ever. It's just a rammed stadium. It's just amazing. So yeah, I would probably go with showing an alien that. What is your favourite Money in the Bank match? I haven't really got one, to be honest. Haven't got one that I look back on and go, oh, that one there, that's my favourite. I love the early ones that were at WrestleMania. I thought that when they got introduced, they were they were one of my favourite parts of WrestleMania. So I used to really look forward to them. I sort of think once they went to their own pay-per-view, I don't know if they've been as good. I think we've kind of done everything you can do with them, to be honest. I don't think there's much more you can do. Last year's was interesting, doing it a different way in a headquarters. So that was interesting. But I'd be going back to the early ones. I like the one that had Ric Flair in. I forget what WrestleMania that was. That was fun. We watched that not long ago. I can't remember what WrestleMania it was, though. Nice leg sweep by Bret Hart. Bret Hart just showing how crisp he is here. Look, going up. Patented elbow. Days, I got a white Roman Reigns head of the table and acknowledge me shirt. It is the original with the Hogan and the flag design. I got it off an Instagram page years ago, but it is starting to get a hole in it now. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. Still cool, though. It's still a great thing to have. WrestleMania 24, the one where Rick retires. No. He was in a Money in the Bank ladder match. It might have been 22. I can't remember. Something like that. Asib said, Days, what is the one sport you can't stand? For me, it's golf. I absolutely hate it. There's probably a sport, but I can't really think of it, to be honest. I mean, if England are playing, I will watch it. I have to, when it comes to sports, I've got to be rooting for someone. I couldn't just flick through the channels and just watch a sport because it's on. Like, I have to be invested in it. I have to want someone to win. There has to be a reason for me to watch. But if there's a reason for me to watch and I'm invested and I'm supporting someone, I will pretty much watch anything. I have watched bowls. I said this not long ago, and I wasn't lying. There was a guy who was like in his 70s, and he was taking on this 40-year-old. And I don't know if you know what bowls are, but it's basically indoor, right? There's a long green like rectangle, and what they do is they roll the ball, and it slowly rolls down and stops at the end. And you've got to get your ball close to the silver ball. That's the goal. You've got to get your ball as close to the silver ball. But the silver ball, obviously, is all the way down this thing. So you've got to try and find a way of, like... And there's balls that are going to be blocking the way. You've got to try and figure out, can I knock that one out the way? If I knock that one out the way, where's my ball going to go? And you can see them trying to, like, work out, can I swing it round? Can I maybe get round the back of it all? Or maybe I could curl it just in front. And then they come up and they slowly release the ball. The ball goes down. I mean, you'd think it's the most boring thing in the world, and maybe it is. But because I really wanted this 70-year-old man to win, I was, like, proper rooting for him. And that was me done then. I was quite happy. Do you know what I mean? Get me a drink, bit of popcorn or something. Done. I will watch any. If I support someone, I'll watch anything. The only problem I have is that there's a lot of sports where I just don't have anyone to support or don't really have an interest. So, like, with golf, I might struggle. I'd probably, if Tiger was playing, I'd obviously be supporting him, or might be supporting, like, a British guy. So there might be someone that I can get behind. But yeah, I don't know. It's not my favourite, let's put it that way, golf. Right, we're still underway with this match anyway, and this match certainly isn't golf. Have you seen the polling? I haven't. Jumping on the back of Hart Foundation. So, Hitman is down at the moment. This match has had quite a bit of time, hasn't it? How long does this go for? Oh, it's actually one of the longer matches. This is for the WWF Tag Team Championship. So far, we've just been seeing matches that don't really count to anything. This actually counts for something. This is for the WWF Tag Team Championships. Camel clutch. You don't see that much. And it's not been applied very well. Frederick, WWE, shout out to you. Hope you are well. Hope you are having a good July 4th. Wrestling Day said there is a wrestler in WWF around the 95-96 period. He wore a mask and was called who? Was that Jim Neidhart? He wore a mask and was called who? WHO? Yeah. He wasn't around for long. So, on the July 6th of 96, Jim returned as the masked heel Who, a gimmick designed for commentators Vince and Jerry Lawler to make Who's on first style jokes. Oh my God. Who last appeared on TV in the Bikini Beach Blast-Off for SummerSlam pre-show. His last match was a win over Alex Porto in Miami on September 12th. Neidhart wrestled, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, not around for, like, a couple of months. So, yeah, that was. And it was also they could make who is on first jokes. How awful. How truly awful. I don't think I've ever seen Who, you know. It's interesting. I'll try and show you a picture. We've got a bit of carnage as Bret Hart is going over to try and make the tag, and he does. Jim the Anvil comes in. He throws one of the Nasty Boys into the other. He looks pretty cool as Who. Right. Let me show you Jim the Anvil Neidhart in a mask as a wrestler called Who from 1996. Ooh, where is the picture? 1, 2, Nasty Boys make the save. I think he looks quite good. I think he looks alright here. I mean, it's not the greatest mask I've ever seen, but I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. So yeah, Jim the Anvil. Nasty Boys both down. Bret Hart's coming in. Jim the Anvil going for the pin. Referee is distracted. The helmet has been chucked in. He's nailed Jim the Anvil with it. 1, 2, 3. And the Nasty Boys win thanks to the helmet being thrown in. So, Nasty Boys and new World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions. Look at them all collapsing on the outside. Jimmy Hart falls onto the outside. He drags, look, he's kicking his legs in the air. Do you see people reacting like this anymore when they win the tag titles? I mean, look at Jimmy Hart, man. He's losing his mind. There we go. Who do you want to win Money in the Bank? I'd probably go with Big E. Oh, this is good. We were talking about this the other day. We was talking about this. Look, Rick the Model Martel spraying arrogance on the snake bag. This is a brilliant story. And look at that. And he gets caught in the eye. That's Bruce Pritchard, Brother Love. When we talk about Bruce Pritchard, that's him. He does a lot backstage to WWE now. This is a great story, man. This is a brilliant story. Rick the Model Martel used to have his arrogance, his spray, and he sprays it in the eyes of Jake, and Jake gets blinded. There's Pat Patterson. Jake just grabs who he thinks is the model. Look at that. Jake in there, and he's just trying to attack whoever he can, but he's got a hold of the wrong person. Rick the Model goes to the outside. I love this story. I love this match as a kid, but I mean, looking back on the match now, it's a rubbish match, but I still loved it. The blind leading the blind. This was the best era for managers, says Wrestle with Andy. Jake really sold that spray. He proper did. Yeah, he proper did. Will you do something for the Olympics? Yes. Right. Rick the Model Martel is in the ring. And can we just all agree right now? I don't think it's up for debate, but Jake's got some of the best entrance music. Oh, so good. So good. The Snake Roberts. I love how the camera comes to meet people. I love that. I love how we go up the entrance ramp and we go to the wrestlers. We don't do that anymore. Look at the size of that bag. My God. So, this is the blindfold match. So, Jake was blinded by Rick the Model Martel. And he said that he wants Martel to feel what it's like to not have your sight, to lose that sense So they have a blindfold match. So both wrestlers are going to be blindfolded right now. Haven't seen a blindfold match since. I can't think of one. There we go, look. Martel proper looking around, panicking. And here we go. So both guys have got bags over their heads. And this is what it became. It became Jake, like, learning quickly to get the crowd to help him. He points and he starts walking. And this match is literally just this. Days, I thought my kitten was rubbing against my leg. I was drinking coffee. It was a black racer snake. Ryan said Rick Martel was the man in AWA, and Scott Hall was a big cowboy with cowboy boots and a moustache. I don't know much about AWA. I haven't watched loads of AWA. But didn't Scott Hall... Yeah, he had the big moustache, didn't he? I've seen pictures of that. But I don't know much about Rick Martel in AWA. Martel on his hands and knees. And there we go. Jake grabs the leg and Martel trying to get out of the way. Rolls and he does escape Jake. Trips over him. There, and they're on each other now. What's your favourite pay-per-view from 2010 till now and why? Probably WrestleMania 30 and End of the Streak and the Daniel Bryan thing. I think it's just a brilliant pay-per-view. I think there's loads of stuff on that pay-per-view that's really solid. But one of the biggest things we've gone through in recent years, I say recent years, it's 7 years ago now, but Daniel Bryan and WrestleMania, I mean, it's just incredible. I love that. I think we spoke before about there's a famous promo that Triple H is trying to cut, and the crowd are just like ignoring Triple H, and they're just yes chanting away. And there's a load of wrestlers in the ring, and like Mark Henry has to just grab Daniel Bryan's arm and put it in the air, just to give the crowd like something to cheer, because they're just going yes, yes, Daniel Bryan, yes, yes, yes. They just want Daniel to do something. So Mark just like puts his arm in the air like this, and the crowd go yeah, because they weren't shutting up, man. They were just so. He was so over. He was white hot. He wasn't on fire. He was just white hot. So I think that really makes 30 so special. We've still got a lot of pointing going on. Jake pointing over, and he's making his way to Rick. They're both so close. Martel scoops and slams Jake the Snake. Jake the Snake moves. Martel drops the elbow, but Jake had moved. Wrestling Days, did you ever watch my matches? I've seen Chris Benoit matches, yeah. Scott Hall and Kurt Hennig were a AWA World Tag Team Champions, says Jimmy. Scott looked like Magnum P.I. Tom Selleck, yes. I also really enjoy WrestleMania 8, says Graham. The Flair Savage match, Piper Bret Hart were both very high quality. Crowd in Detroit were pumped for that event. Return of the Warrior as well. I mean, I know it might not feel like it's a big deal, but it was huge back then when he, out of nowhere, he came running down. So, yeah, really. Eight's good. 8's a little underrated. But it is, it's got a bit about it. It's in a lovely big space as well. I don't know the attendance rate. Way more than this. Way more than this. It felt big, 8 did. The only problem with it, well, it's not a problem, but I just wish that had been Flair Hogan I mean, we should have got that match. We'll argue for the rest of time about how we should have had that match in WWE. And I don't care what the house shows were like. I don't care that the house shows, it wasn't really working. I don't care. We should have got that match. Okay, so Jake clapping. That was kind of clever. He was clapping. And Martel going in that direction. And he sneaks up behind Martel, grabs him, drives him to the ropes, and Martel trying to get out the ring. What match was your favourite? Was it me versus my... Nah, dude, you can't joke about that stuff. It's not funny. In my opinion, WrestleMania 30 isn't that great. If you take out the 2 Daniel Bryan matches, it wasn't that good. I didn't like the streak ending. Brock was the wrong guy to do it. Bray losing was bad. I really like 30. 30's got a Shield match in it, which I thought was good. I was shocked by the streak, but I like the fact it ended. I think it ended at the right time. I think it has to end as well. There's a lot of people out there that say the streak shouldn't have ended, but I think the whole point of wrestling is to put other people over. Like, you build people up. Like, Asuka's streak had to end. She couldn't be undefeated forever because someone's going to get an advantage by beating her. It's the same as Roman. Roman's title reign, it's going to end, and someone's going to be put over as a result. Famously, you should lose your last match because you put someone over on your way out. There's no point Undertaker having an undefeated streak if no one benefits from beating it. If no one is the person to do it, and we can debate till the cows come home as to whether Brock was the right person. But first and foremost, I'm glad they ended it. I'm glad someone benefited from it. And there's no denying that Brock definitely did benefit from it. Brock after is different to Brock just before. And we've spoke many times about how Brock went into that and no one expected him to win. It's kind of crazy. You would expect Brock to win, but people were not predicting Brock was winning that. So it was a real shock. And you can see by the genuine reaction in the crowd, that famous guy that's like, it's like that's how we all felt at that time. Because no one expected it. So they got the surprise element perfect. So I was shocked. I was waiting for them to reverse it. I was waiting for something to... Do you know what I mean? I was waiting for something. But, to change. Or them to say that his shoulder was up. And obviously, it never did. And the streak ended. But you couldn't comprehend it. You couldn't get your head around it. So it's one that will always divide wrestling fans. Always divide wrestling fans. But I've grown to like it. I've grown to like it. I don't look back on the streak being a problem, to be honest. I do think that Bray should have beaten Cena. The only thing I would say is that doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me as much as him losing to Undertaker. I actually think Bray should have beaten Undertaker. DDT by Jake. DDT by Jake. And now he's got to try and find him to pin him. He's grabbed him. 1, 2, 3, and Jake wins. Taker's streak had to be broken, and I don't have an issue with Brock winning, says LSW. Macho Man versus Dynamite would have been good. That would have been 2 of the best ever. Crazy Ginger Jake Holden said, I think Bray would have been the right person, but I think Brock winning made him feel bigger. If they waited too long, it would not have been more shocking. Yeah, the other thing as well was if they'd have waited, Undertaker was clearly on a decline that we couldn't see at the time. So, it ended at 30, and you've got to say that is around the time where we start to go down. In fact, I would say that it might be the concussion in that match is the moment that his match quality starts to go down. Undertaker, after that match, is not the same as Undertaker before it. So for me, that match is a real significant, I mean, obviously significant, but it's kind of crazy how he wasn't the same after it. He kind of spends the years after it trying to find that perfect match to retire on, and he can't find it. He just keeps putting in like bad WrestleMania performance after bad WrestleMania performance. And I mean, his match with Shane is all right, but it's hard, isn't it? It's hard. That match with Shane is hard. You can't retire on that. They shouldn't even have booked it. The booking of that match was awful. So I don't even quite get the Shane match, to be honest. The booking made no sense, but that's for a different time. But yeah, Bray could have finished it. The only thing is, if Bray was the one, you'd have to change his booking. There's no point Bray beating the streak and then being booked the same way he was. He wasn't booked good enough. And that suggests that Vince didn't see it in Bray at the time. So if Vince weren't seeing it, then Bray was not going to be the right person to beat it. But honestly, we can look at this. I love these scenes backstage. Look, Nasty Boys celebrating. Here's Earthquake. I actually think Roman should have been the one to end the streak. Imagine how the fans would have hated him. Dude, he didn't need to beat the streak for fans to do that. They hated him after WrestleMania 33. Wasn't there like 10 minutes of the crowd like swearing at him and just going crazy at him. And he was like having to stand there, and he was going to, and every time he went to talk, it got louder. It's an amazing moment. It's an amazing moment. Talking of amazing moments, talking of The Undertaker, how about we go back to where it all began? How about we go back to Undertaker's first ever WrestleMania match? Here we go. Oh, yes! Great Undertaker, man. It's my favourite version of Undertaker. Favourite version. Undertaker with Paul Bearer. Beautiful. Brilliant. Love it. The grey version Undertaker, the original debut-ish version. His actual debut, he had black gloves, but this version of Undertaker, this is the Undertaker that I grew up with. So he debuts at Survivor Series in 1990. This is March of 91. So he's been in WWE about 4 or 5 months by this point. So this is 4 or 5 month. Look at the concern on the face of the kids. Paul Bearer was such a freaky looking dude. Absolutely. Austin said, my favourite version is Ministry, or when he's feuding with Kane. What year was this? This was 91. Undertaker standing, staring at Jimmy Superfly Snuka, who, you know, by 91, his star power has really diminished. But you go back, say, 10 years. You go back to, say, 81, 82. I think Jimmy Snuka might have been maybe the biggest babyface they had. Maybe the biggest babyface they had. Jimmy Snuka was so popular. The Superfly was so popular. But by this point, he's just an aging legend in 91. Big strike by Undertaker. He's got Snuka over by the ropes. This is Undertaker's first Mania match, it is, yeah. Big clothesline, and Jimmy Superfly goes down. Slowly walking over, grabbing Jimmy Superfly. Grabbing him by the nose, pulling back on the nose, pulling back on the face. Superfly going over. Superfly very much... whenever I look at him, I see Pac now. It's like the Pac of his day. Into the corner goes Undertaker. Knee, and Superfly goes to the outside. And Paul Bearer certainly enjoying that. Snuka was still in phenomenal shape, he was. He was, there's no denying that. Not sure what age he is here. Gonna look to suplex him from the outside. I seem to think he does this, and I seem to remember it being awesome. Look at that! It was awesome! Superfly is down, man. The Superfly is grounded. Elbow drop. Superfly managing to just get out of the way. Paul Bearer, man. Just the little things he's doing on the outside where, you know, Undertaker's losing now and he can't look. He can't look. Brilliant. Headbutt. Nice reversal. Clothesline by Undertaker. Misses. Over the top. Superfly hangs on the top rope and bounces to the outside. Dropping in to say hello. William, shout out to you. Hope you are well. Superfly and Ricky the Dragon were beloved by the Asian community like me, says Ryan. Johnny said, days at my house we have a new bug and its name is Elmseed Bugs. Shout out to Elmseed Bugs. Undertaker grabs Superfly. Pops him down. Big strike. Scoops him up. Looking for the tombstone. Got him into position. Oh, he seemed a bit low, didn't he? His head was a touch low there. 1, 2. Was that a 3 count? I don't even know if that was a 3 count. Looked like a questionable 3. Justice for the Superfly. Well, there we go. Done, done, and done. That match was match number 7, including the dart match. Clocked in at 4 minutes 20. That was it. Right, time for our first main event. It's time for the retirement match. So this is Macho King taking on the Ultimate Warrior. This genuinely is one of the best matches in WWE history. I absolutely love this. Absolutely love this. There's so much psychology here. So, Warrior comes down with ring attire that says, this means more than this. And it's got a picture of the belt. So, Warrior kind of saying to his fans, this match, this retirement match, it means more than the championship. You know, this is more important. And he walks down as well. I mean, how many times did you see the Warrior walk to the ring? But in this one, he walks down to the ring. He doesn't run down. He walks, and he tells the crowd like this is more important than for them, for the belt. I think he probably feels a bit slighted because he'd won the title against Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6, and that was only the year before. But his title reign hadn't been great. He wasn't really drawing very well. Business was down. You know, they've ended up having to bring Sergeant Slaughter back. I mean, Sergeant Slaughter, I think, had been away, but they bring him back so that they can do that, you know, story between him and Hogan. And so Warrior's kind of he's not pushed to the side. This is still a massive match. This might be the Warrior's best ever match. So this is like a really important Ultimate Warrior match, but it sort of is a step down from closing the show and being the man. Do you know what I mean? You don't end the pay-per-view as champion. You're in the middle of the card. It is a step down. So there's quite a bit of psychology here. And not only that, you've got the whole Macho side, which is like he comes out with Sensational Sherry. He had turned his back on Miss Elizabeth. Bobby is just pointing out that Miss Elizabeth's in the crowd. Bobby's like, look, that looks like Elizabeth. How did he spot her? How did he spot her? Have you seen how far away from the ring she is? There is no way Bobby is sitting at commentary and all the way down the ramp round the corner he spotted Miss Elizabeth. Here we go, look. Macho King and Sensational Sherry being carried down to the ring. And I would imagine that is likely at the warehouse. That two-person, no idea what you would call it. It's being carried by slaves. King Corbin had something similar, didn't he? King Corbin was coming down to the ring with something similar. And there is Miss Elizabeth. She used to be with the Macho Man. But now it's Sensational Sherry, who I think is just so important when you talk about the history of women's wrestling. Former WWF Women's Champion. Fantastic valet. Involved in some big moments, you know. Certainly with the Macho King, you know, not only here in this, but when he was feuding with Dusty and Sapphire. She was obviously involved with Shawn Michaels as well, like when he first goes solo. She's brilliant. She's so versatile. Sherry could do it all. She could wrestle, she could manage, she could cut promos, she was passionate, she was loved by everyone. She's brilliant. I love Sherry. So underrated. So undervalued. Everyone talks about China. Everyone talks about Trish. Sensational Sherry does not get enough praise. Queen, Sensational Sherry, and of course, two of the most iconic WrestleMania attires ever. Look at Macho Man in that white and purple attire, and then the music hits, and you expect the Warrior to come storming down to the ring. Right? And the Warrior... Ultimate! So his music's playing. We got Macho King in the ring. We got Sensational Queen, Sherry. Here is the Warrior walking. And look at this attire. This is iconic as well. As we said, it's got on the back of his trunks, it says, means more than this. And it's got a picture of the winged eagle. Bobby says, why isn't he running? I mean, look at these attires. You just don't get these kinds of attires. Some guy was making a show that you should what? Sherry or Asuka? Well, I think Asuka's the better wrestler. I think bigger impact, I would say Sherry. I mean, she was involved in some massive moments. Asuka, I don't know. If you look back on like WrestleMania showings in particular, she had that WrestleMania 34 match with Charlotte. But I don't know really what else she's done. She's had some good title reigns Who did she face? She lost this year to Rhea Ripley. I mean, no, for me, I think Sherry. But wrestling-wise, I put Asuka ahead of her. Ultimate Warrior only lost once at Mania. Taker lost twice. Warrior has got a better record. So Warrior has a better record. Well, I don't know if he's got a better record because he hasn't got as many wins. So I don't know that his record is better. But he's... he doesn't have as many losses. So we're just taking a bit of time here. They're walking around in circles. They've done figures of both of these. And there we're getting a close-up. Means much more than this. Days, did you know that WrestleMania 7 was supposed to be Hogan versus Warrior 2? But Vince got political. There was talk about an Iraqi sympathizer, Sheik Warrior. Vince wanted Sergeant Slaughter. I don't know if I have heard that, to be honest, no. I don't know if I have heard that. I know, I've heard Bruce Pritchard say that Tugboat was going to face Hogan. They had plans to turn Tugboat, and there was going to be Sheik Tugboat. I don't know if I've heard about Sheik Warrior, though. I'm trying to quick Google it. Find some details about it. Sheik Warrior. It's just bringing back Iron Sheik stuff. It's probably... yeah, nothing listed on Google for... Nothing listed on Google for it. But then it's one of those, you know, it's probably mentioned in a podcast or something. But yeah, I can't say I've heard about a Sheik Warrior, but I have heard about Sheik Tugboat. Macho goes to the outside. Edward said I was at 30 and Undertaker kicked out. Did you hear that the Patriot passed away? I did, yes, I did. It was supposed to be Tugboats. Remember when no one was ready for Asuka? I do remember that. It does now seem like everyone is ready for Asuka. Warrior picks up Macho King and inverted atomic drop. Yeah, everyone's ready for Asuka now. I wish they... I don't mind her losing to Charlotte, but I didn't need her losing to Rhea Ripley. Sensational Queen comes in and Macho King gets thrown at her. And look at the bump she takes, man. She was brilliant for that. Because she was a wrestler, she could take those kinds of bumps. Like, she's just had a grown man thrown at her. Like, and she's, like, bumped, rolled out the ring, bumped to the outside. Macho caught in the ropes, kicks to the midsection. I have heard a little bit about this match. I would love to know a bit more about it in regards to how they put it together. Because famously, Macho Man used to love, like, documenting everything and be like, right, we'll do this and we'll do that. And, like, really used to try and put his matches together. Most famously at WrestleMania 3 with Steamboat. But I know he was doing it with Hogan as well. You ain't doing that with Warrior. Warrior ain't going to listen. So I'd love to know how they worked this out. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to know how they put this match together. I have listened to, like, podcasts about this match, this event more so. But they do cover this match. But I can't quite recall what they said about it. I'd imagine that Macho tried to just hit a few big points he wanted to do. Warrior puts Macho down and slaps him. It's a very different Warrior match. It's not a million miles an hour. The pace of it is slower. And now Sensational Queen pops up on the edge of the ring. Macho Man grabbing a chair. Throwing a chair into the ring. Doesn't even bother folding it. Referee gets it. Double axe handle to the back. Referee putting the chair to the outside. Warrior with a big strike and Macho goes down. Are we going to watch fireworks tonight? I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? Are you asking, is there fireworks at this WrestleMania? I mean, there might be some pyro, but there won't be fireworks because we're in an arena. Will you be live 5 hours if England are in the final? Do you know what? Yeah, absolutely. Why not? I don't even know what time we'll be live for the semi-final, let alone the final. The semi-final starts at 8. There's a good chance we're live from like 4. Good chance. Because this could be the end of the road for England. It could be over. So I want to just enjoy it and talk about it and get people's thoughts on it and as much as possible. So rather than just sitting and waiting to start the stream, might as well just start the stream. So yeah, we will be live a good few hours before the match. Obviously, England play Wednesday, Euro 2020. Hopefully they can go on to win it, but obviously we don't know if they'll get through. Sensational Sherry smashes the Ultimate Warrior. Double axe handle off the top. So Sherry getting heavily involved in this. Warrior goes down. Nice knee there by Sherry. Rake of the eyes as well. Screaming at him. Raking his... he pushes her over. Ultimate Warrior pushes Sherry down. What is the main event? Is it Yokozuna, Bret Hart? No, that's 9. Main event of this one is Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter was... the Gulf War was happening at this time. So, it is very political. America is at war. I think I heard Bruce Pritchard say that at the time of them booking it, they weren't at war. They weren't actually at war when they were putting this together, but there was like a conflict. There were things happening, but it wasn't a war. I think by the time we actually get to this show, they are at war. The USA are at war. Backslide by Warrior. 1, 2. Kick out by Macho. And I think they said, like, in retrospect, they probably wouldn't have booked it now. If they knew that it was going to get as serious as it did, they probably wouldn't have done this. But, because Sergeant Slaughter was getting death threats. Because he was a sympathizer to the Iraqis. They made it whereby he was, basically feeling sympathy for them. He turned his back on America. So... is that Donald Trump in the front row? There's someone in the front row, and I think it might be Trump. Oh, tries to shoulder tackle Macho King. Certainly looks like him. Where green shirt guy would be. Maybe Donald Trump was the original green shirt guy. Maybe Donald Trump is green shirt guy. Certainly looks like him. And he was obviously heavily involved in WrestleManias 4 and 5. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was there. She's banging on the edge of the ring. Look at her. She gets so involved. I remember her in the first ever ladder match, which was Bret and Shawn. And she's like proper banging on the edge of the ring. Like she gets so animated. She gets so involved. Screaming her head off. I love the woman. I love her. I think she's a goat. Trump was a regular to early Manias. The Sergeant Slaughter story was very controversial. Imagine getting a death threat for playing a role in a movie. That's how it was for him. Yeah, I mean, people didn't know. I really don't believe that people knew that this was scripted. I think there was some people, definitely, that were like, come on. We all know the truth about wrestling. But the fact is, no one actually knew the truth. No one actually knew the truth. Because the wrestlers weren't talking about it. Kayfabe was alive and well. So I think there's a big majority of the crowd that are sat there believing what they're watching is 100% true. You can hear there's a lot of kids in the crowd as well. You can hear from the cheering, the pitch. It's high pitched crowd. 1, 2, just a 2 count. Sherry distracting. Don't forget, the loser has to retire. The stakes are so high in this one. The loser has to retire. Warrior against the ropes. Sherry is getting into the ring. She's going up top. She's got a shoe off. And, collides into the Macho King. She can't believe it. You effed up. You effed up. You effed up. I love everything about this match. It's a great match. She's amazing in it. It's one of Warrior's best matches. The pace of it is slowed down. She rolls into the ring. So Macho's been walloped with a shoe. Ultimate Warrior grabs Sherry. Macho tries to roll at Warrior. 2. Oh. 2 count. 1. Big strike by Warrior. Macho goes down. It is literally Warrior having to fight Sherry and the Macho King. Warrior in the corner. Macho grabbing him. Picking him up and putting him over that top rope. And there is Miss Elizabeth watching on. Look. Miss Elizabeth. She still loves the Macho King. She doesn't love what he's become. But she still loves him, guys. She still loves him. Over the top. Warrior goes down. Clothesline to the back of the head. Warrior goes back down. Here we go. Macho. Scoop slam. 1. Shoulder up by the Warrior. Macho going over to the corner. Climbing up top. Macho, little bit wobbly. Elbow drop. Elbow drop by the Macho Man. Macho King. He's going again. This is what he was known for, these elbows. So she is proper celebrating because the fact he's hitting these, absolutely huge. This is like Undertaker smashing several tombstones in a row, you know. So the Fat Macho keeps going back up and hitting another one. It's like a third in a row. Connects. And he wants one more. And Sherry on the outside. Bobby Heenan says we're watching the end of the Warrior. Connects. 4, and he's going for 5. Bobby Heenan says we've got a winner. And here's 5. Oh, connects. 1, 2. Shoulder up. Shoulder up. 5 elbows. Shoulder up. And he can't believe it. Brilliant. Crowd is electric, says Tall Paul. Gorilla says no one has ever withstood that kind of punishment. This is brilliant. This is brilliant. I don't care what you say. You drop this. You drop this into WrestleMania 37. It's one of the best things on WrestleMania 37. This is brilliant. Warrior is coming back into it now. Macho's trying to get him, but Warrior's proper hulking up. Warrioring up. Crowd are on fire, man. The crowd, I completely agree. I forgot how good the crowd were. Clothesline. Macho goes down. Clothesline. Another one as well. Warrior right back in this. People would moan about him no-selling. People would moan about the fact he's just come back from 5 elbows, but it's just how it was back in the day, you know. Do you think these over-the-top, larger-than-life characters would make it in today's WWE? If booked correctly, yes. Because you do have larger-than-life people in the world. Like, there are larger-than-life characters. We've all seen Tiger King. Do you know what I mean? Like, 1, 2, kick out. The world is made up of many people, and there are larger-than-life characters. It's just right now, WWE doesn't seem to have those represented on the roster. So, I think it would work, but you would have to be very careful as to how you booked them. Like, as I just said there, Warrior got hit with 5 elbows. And now he's kicked out and he's acting like nothing's happened. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's completely no-selling it now. And that would be a problem in today's age. Back then, people are like, can you believe it? This guy is amazing. How is he withstanding this? Like, back then, people went with it because you still didn't know that it was predetermined. Or at least there were still those seeds of doubt. I mean, I'd watched it. I didn't have a clue. I didn't know. I thought this was all legit. Did you know Donald Trump owned Monday Night Raw before? How? When? What? What? Did he own USA Network? I don't think he did. I'm not sure that's true. Are we talking in storyline? What are we talking? What? What? Days, I'm making a custom of you on 2K19. What do you want your signature and finisher to be? Is the one where the wrestler runs away. Put me down for that. Is it true that Tom McGee was going to be the next Hogan? Then why didn't he main event any WrestleManias? Well, Tom McGee's interesting because he had a great match with Bret Hart that a lot of people saw and said was an absolute classic, and he was believed to be, you know, this next great potential. But how many times have we seen people that are meant to be the next great potential? How many times have we seen wrestlers that are going to be the next big thing and they don't quite go on to do it? I mean, look at Drew. Drew was told he was going to be the next big thing, and he ends up getting released. Do you know what I mean? Like, granted, he went away, worked hard, and came back. But the plan wasn't to, you know, Vince said he will be a world champion, but released him. So Tom McGee was someone that had some really great matches, and then that lost classic against Bret Hart, which resurfaced recently and is on the network. And they did a whole documentary about it, because it was like a classic that people wanted to see. People that saw it said it was one of the best matches they'd ever seen. And he was being hailed as the next big thing. But he couldn't maintain that. And the standard of his matches just weren't, you know, the same. A lot of people wonder if it was because of he was in there with a couple of great wrestlers. Was it because he was in there with the likes of Bret Hart that it just brought out the best in Tom McGee? Couldn't quite put your finger on why he couldn't maintain that standard, but he couldn't. So he was a long way from main event in a WrestleMania. I mean, he didn't even make it to a pay-per-view at all. When people say he was going to be the next Hogan, it's because it's like saying Karrion Kross is going to be the next Stone Cold. Imagine Karrion Kross has a couple of matches on the main roster, and people are like, this is the next Stone Cold. That's where Tom McGee was. But he was a long way from actually being it. And, you know, it just didn't pan out the way people thought and hoped. You should watch that documentary. I haven't seen it since it came out. It was very good. Very, very good. It was great to and he does it. He pins the Macho King. Loads of action outside the ring. And there's sensational Sherry. I mean, think about the amount of work these guys have just put into the past 20-odd minutes. They've been absolutely everywhere. We've seen some brilliant spots. Sherry has worked so hard. And she can't believe it as well. She absolutely can't believe it. Warrior's music playing. Steps out the ring, and Sherry is trying to get out of his way. Warrior has won the match. Macho King is going to have to retire now. It's over for the Macho King. And Warrior goes over, and fans obviously very happy that the Ultimate Warrior will be sticking around. Donald Trump owned Monday Night Raw in 2009. I will watch that documentary. Okay. I'll have to have a look at that, Johnny. If this was a retirement match, why did we have Savage Warrior at SummerSlam 92? So, this is Macho King, and he does leave. And the plan was this was going to be him retiring. The problem is that by the end of this year, things are starting to change. Like, Warrior leaves, and there's a few people that leave, and Vince decides that he needs Macho back, so he tries to convince him to return. And the way they do it is they actually do the wedding between him and Miss Elizabeth, and they have Undertaker and Jake the Snake attack Macho, and so he does this big campaign, and WWE, say the fans are demanding that he returns and all this. And because he was attacked, there's a reason for him to come back. But he comes back as the Macho Man. So technically, the Macho King retires, but it's the Macho Man that comes back. But we're seeing Sherry right now attacking Macho. So Sherry beating up Macho, smashing his face first, and love this bit. Look at this. Oh my God. Elizabeth can't take any more. She can't take any more. She jumps the railings, grabs Sherry by the hair, hurls her out the ring. I'd love to have seen a match between them. I mean, Elizabeth wasn't a wrestler. But we could have done something. We could have built to something. But look at this. People love... they had made her like Princess Diana. Like, people loved Miss Elizabeth. They loved her. She was so innocent and pure and lovely and perfect. And Macho sees who it is. So Sherry was beating up Macho Man. Elizabeth dragged Sherry out of the ring. Elizabeth shows that she still has feelings for Macho. Look at Sherry going mental. So Sherry's going mental because, of course, like, if he's out, she's out as well. So she's gutted that he's lost this match. So she's turned her back on him. Miss Elizabeth has jumped into the ring. The people love Miss Elizabeth. I tell you, there's famous pictures from this where there's people in the crowd crying. Macho's looking around and everyone's cheering and they want to see them get together again. Bobby Heenan said this is sickening. Oh, it still smacks you in the feels, doesn't it, eh? Could have done something like this with Zelina and Andrade. Brilliant. What a woman, what a man. They hug. They hug again. People are going crazy. I want to see some of the famous... I want to see some of the... That one. Oh my god, that one right there. I still don't know if that's a man or a woman. I have no idea. The person with the glasses that's like... Famous. There's some famous crowd shots. Gorilla Monsoon says, I love this. And her as well. Oh, look at the tears in the eyes. Real emotion. Real emotion. And look, all the women are going. All the women are going. They love Elizabeth. It's brilliant. It's just brilliant. The build's brilliant. The match is brilliant. Sherry's brilliant. Elizabeth's brilliant. The aftermath is brilliant. It's just brilliant. It's just this little nugget of absolute gold. This nugget of absolute perfection. Just nestled in them. Look, she's still going. Oh my god. Macho thanking the fans. Because this was meant to genuinely be it. This was meant to be the end. To my knowledge, there was no plans for him to come back. At this stage, anyway. This was done. I'm pleased he came back. I mean, the WrestleMania, it was worth him coming back just for WrestleMania 8. You know, him against Ric Flair is fantastic. At WrestleMania 8, and he gets another title run and whatnot, but... I can tell Days love this. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. They could have done it with Otis and Mandy, couldn't they? They had a little summit there, but they just couldn't maintain it. After a couple of days... Cry! Will there be fireworks on this channel tonight? No, but... the person in the glasses is Pat. Eat, sleep, cry, repeat. Da-na-na-na-na-na. So that's the end of, like, the first half, really. That's the main event done of the first part of the show. We've still got quite a few matches to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still got 7 matches. 7 matches. That woman was hot. Will the Retro Raw series be back? Probably not. Legend Killer said, what was your favourite version of The Undertaker? The first one, debut one. I'd say like 90 up to 90... I don't know, 90 up to 94-ish, then 4 years. They're just talking about our main event tonight. This is awful. What's funny is they were only married another year after this SummerSlam wedding. I think they were married before, weren't they? Like, I think a year before. Right. So we're backstage with Regis. Amazingly, well, I've only just seen. We're almost 2 hours in. We're almost 2 hours in. Flip. So this run. Oh, here's the Undertaker. Undertaker backstage with Paul Bearer. He's measuring him? I don't remember this. I don't remember Undertaker measuring Regis. Undertaker measuring Regis. So there's no interview. Alex Trebek, I don't know who this is, but he said something earlier that made me think he's something to do with Jeopardy. Here's Demolition, but it's the Demolition without Axe. It's Smash and Crush. Axe has gone by this point. Because for a time they were a 3, but Axe... I think the feeling was that he couldn't do it anymore. But he ends up going to Japan and wrestling in Japan. The Undertaker scared the death out of me in the early days. He's measuring him for a casket. Absolutely. Brian said they were married in 84. Was it really? I honestly thought it was a few years before they got married. I didn't think it was 84. That's amazing. The piped-in crowd noises sound real in this, you know. Alex Trebek was the host of Jeopardy. He just passed away last year. Oh, I didn't know that. I've never seen Jeopardy. It's not a show that we really have. It might be on. Like a channel buried away somewhere, but it was never on. It was never on. I've never seen it. It's one of those, like, really American things that we don't really have. Like Hershey's. We don't have Hershey's. But I'm aware of it. Look at this, Tenryu. How many times IWGP champ was Tenryu? Let's have a look. So, Tenryu. He entered sumo at the age of 13 and then became a professional wrestler after that. Dave Meltzer wrote that you could make a strong case that Tenryu was either the 4th or 6th biggest Japanese star in history. So, I mean, that would put him behind Giant Baba. It would put him behind Ricky Dozan, Giant Baba, Antonio Inoki, and then Dave Meltzer's saying you could make an argument that Tenryu is next. I mean, Giant Baba started All Japan. Inoki started New Japan. Ricky Dozan brought wrestling to Japan. So if you're saying like Tenryu is like 4th to 6th, that's incredible. That's incredible. He's a one-time IWGP champ, but he was in All Japan a lot more. And his All Japan stuff is insane. It would take me like 5 minutes to read it all out. So yeah, Tenryu, absolute wrestling legend. So we're at the halfway point in the show. You can see that we're just taking a little break from the action. It's just, I think, to give people a chance to, you know, go to the toilet, get some drinks, all that kind of stuff. Get some snacks. But it's also because of the emotion of the match that we just saw. Just kind of, you know, hit the reset. Right, so Demolition against Tenryu and Kitao. Here's Demolition. And do you know what? Listen to that music. I never thought about it, you know. It's rubbish. It's really interesting, right? I've never thought about this, but if you think of Demolition's music, their music goes, here comes the axe, here comes the smasher, we're Demolition. Like, you know the Demolition music. I've never thought, what was the music when Axe left? Because they can't do that. They can't do here comes the axe, here comes the smash. They can't do that. So I've never thought about it, what their music sounded like. And then I just heard it, and it wasn't the Demolition music, obviously. And I was like, well, what is it? And I just heard it's just this awful, generic, horrible, rubbish music. Which is really interesting. I've just never thought about it. I love learning stuff. And isn't it funny how you can go back and watch... I mean, I don't even know how many times I've seen this show. I've seen this show so many times. I've wore the tape out. But how funny I can still go back and learn stuff from shows like this. Shows that I've seen again and again and again and again. I just never thought about their entrance music. And the fact that they would have to have changed it when Axe left. And just how awfully generic it is. It's awful. We need to have a look at some Meltzer scores, don't we? See what Meltzer's saying. Meltzer WrestleMania 7. Let's get some Meltzer vibes. So, Rockers against Barbarian and Haku. Meltzer gave it 3.5 stars. Von Erich against Dino Bravo is very short. He only gives it 0.75. Bulldog Warlord, he gave 2.5 stars. Hart Foundation against Nasty Boys, 3.5. Jake Roberts Martel, he says, is a dud. It doesn't get a score. The Blindfold Match, in fairness, it is a lot of just pointing and going in that direction. So, Undertaker, Jimmy Snuka, 1 star. And Randy Savage versus Ultimate Warrior. I genuinely didn't know he'd given this score, by the way, right? 4.25. 4.25. Dave Meltzer says that what we just watched was over 4 stars. 24.25 match between Macho Man and Ultimate Warrior. That's high. That's high. For this era, WWE, that is high. So, and in comparison, this match, minus 0.5. Minus! We're watching a minus match! It can't be on for long, surely. It's only 4 minutes. Why do you look like Doink the Clown? Because he is my spirit animal. And Moldy said, Mr. Fuji is my spirit animal. I just laugh at myself for no reason. Stephen said you do learn something new every day. It's good. It's good to learn something new. It's maybe not the most exciting thing in the world, but at least now if someone says, what was Demolition's music like when Axe left? Because he was a part of the music. Before I would have been like, do you know what? I don't know. But now I can say, oh, wow, it was actually shockingly generic. It's pretty awful. Here's Tenryu in there, unloading. Big chops. He's got smash against the ropes. Drop kick to crush. Scoops up smash. I don't think Demolition were he climbs up and he tries to deliver an elbow by like jumping backwards, Tenryu. Tenryu against the ropes. Crush is in there now. Crush picks up. Backbreaker by Crush. So yeah, not long after this, Crush would go away for a while. They would ultimately bring him back, but he'd be out for about a year or so. Smash, I think, continued as a solo wrestler for a little bit. You didn't see him on pay-per-views or anything, but he would just do the odd match on his own. But eventually, of course, he would become the Repo Man. Repo Man. Demolition must squash this team. Don't know, man. It's Tenryu. Tenryu's a ledge. Kitao pushing Crush off the top. Yeah, Kitao is big, actually. Japanese wrestling, it just wasn't really connecting with the American audience at this stage. It was hard to, do you know what I mean? Where you've got so many gimmicks, like where wrestling is like a comic book. He got him, there we go. Powerbomb, Tenryu, Powerbombs smash, and Demolition lose. Demolition lose. I wonder what the hopes were for these guys, because they weren't around for long. But WWE had a partnership with Japan, and so they were able to bring over some Japanese stars. Oh, here we go! One of my favourites when I was young, man, the Big Boss Man. That's right, Mean Gene. Cobb County, Georgia. Hated Attitude Era Boss Man. Sucks. If you wanna know why the Attitude Era sucks compared to this era, the Boss Man sums it up. Look at how passionate and amazing and brilliant Boss Man is here in the blue shirt, sticking up for justice, playing with the nightstick. You're going to serve hard time and all this kind of stuff. It's brilliant. Brilliant. And then he comes back in like that SWAT gear and it's just awful. It's just awful. Awful. I like even early Boss Man's cool when he's a heel and he's fat and he's wearing shades. Here he's lost a lot of weight by now. This is Slim Boss Man. Crime does not pay. The Big Boss Man. Mr. Perfect. So we're getting Boss Man Perfect. Isn't this awesome? You don't even need, like, the gimmicks are so strong that you don't even really need a story. You've got Mr. Perfect, who believes he's perfect at everything. He believes he can do everything perfectly, against a guy that is a prison officer. I mean, you ain't got to work very hard, have you? You haven't got to work very hard to, like, build that story up. Who's going to win? The police officer, the prison guard, or the guy that thinks he's absolutely perfect? You don't get that these days. Do you know what I mean? Like, these days, when you've got Corbin versus Nakamura, like, what are the gimmicks? Corbin's a king. Nakamura wants to be a king. But I don't know, it's just not... That's the story. That's not really their gimmicks. It's not the same as this. It's not the same as Mr. Perfect and the Big Boss Man and Ultimate Warrior and Macho King and Sergeant Slaughter. And it's just a different time, innit? It's just a different time. I love it, though. I know Jim Cornette hates this era. Jim Cornette has done loads of podcasts where he's like, I hated it because it was too cartoony. It was larger than life, and alright, the kids were into it, but he hated it. He thought this was just awful. Awful for wrestling. I can understand it. I think if this was going on now, I might look at it now and go, what are they doing? What are they doing? That's clearly not a police officer and all this kind of... Do you know what I mean? But as a kid, you just buy into it, don't you? Bossman making his way down. Right, so many matches. So many matches. I'm just constantly changing this text. Big Boss Man versus Mr. Perfect. Such fun characters and iconic entrance music. Watch your boy, you'll be serving hard time. Dun, 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 dun. Da na 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 da na 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 na. Oh, it's good, man. It's good. Little wink to the camera as well. Bobby the Brain Heenan. Mr. Perfect was my uncle's favourite. He loved him. Brilliant. The father of Curtis Axel, absolutely. The golden era is the best. Brian said if you take a trip down to Cobb County, Georgia, you better toe the line, respect the law and order, or you'll serve hard time. Hey, look at this. We've got... Lord Alfred Hayes on commentary right now. So we have had Bobby the Brain Heenan on commentary for a bit. But obviously he's involved in this. I'm loving Bossman with that towel. Slap him perfect in the face with it. Spitting? You certainly don't expect that, do you? It's kind of a heel move, isn't it? Bossman spitting at Mr. Perfect. So this is for the Intercontinental Championship. Bossman slaps Mr. Perfect. Gimmicks these days are labels. They used to go all out on the presentation, not anymore. The perfect song for the perfect man, says Robert. Lord Alfred Hayes, yes, yes, yes. Days, I know how much Austin hates Corbin. I love Bossman, says Legend Killer. Bossman goes for the clothesline in the corner, kicks out at Perfect. Clothesline, Perfect. Perfect takes... His bumps are so good. Over the top. Oh, goes hard to the outside. I think Donald Trump was loving that. A big man has been dreaming. Whatever happened to Nails? Don't know what happened to Nails. Obviously, he ends up leaving at the end of 92. Gets into a very heated argument with Vince and claims that Vince was very inappropriate towards him. But, it was a big falling out about pay. I think the number I heard was that he got paid like $8,000 for SummerSlam and he was expecting a lot more. And so there's this big argument. I think it's to do with pay about SummerSlam. He ends up doing Survivor Series, but I'm pretty sure he's gone by the end of the year. Bossman made me believe that this is how all cops were, says Ryan. Let's get the Hammer on the line. Henning sells the moves are so fun. If Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior, Bossman fought Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and Otis in a War Games, who would have won? Depends what the stories are, doesn't it? It's not as simple as just saying who would win out of this, because a lot of it comes down to what's the story at the time. Like, who needs to win? What era is it happening in? What age are they all? Are they all in their prime? Is it happening in the 90s? Is it happening today? Like, if they're all old, then of course it's going to be the younger guys. If they're all in their prime and it's today, then it's going to come down to what plans have they got for the legends going forward. Do you know what I mean? If they're going to be sticking around and they're in their prime and they think they can do something with them, then they might put them over. But if they're only just going to make like a one-off appearance, then it would be the modern day stars that would be put over. So you can't answer that without knowing all the surrounding storylines and Perfect with a headlock. Holding on to the bottom rope. I don't know if I see that anymore. I don't know if do I see people doing that kind of stuff? Like, doing headlocks, but holding onto the rope. Ric Flair did it all the time. All the time. Ric Flair was constantly grabbing ropes as he was putting on holds to try and get an advantage. I feel like that's a lost art. It's the kind of thing that MJF should do. MJF should be grabbing ropes to try and get advantages, you know, behind the referee's back and whatever. You just do not see that at all. There's a few things that have gone out of wrestling. We were talking about, like, when someone is being put in a submission hold and the referee puts the arm up and the arm dropping 3 times. You don't see that anymore. You know, when the third one used to go down, but they would just stop the hand from going down. You don't see that. Bruce Pritchard said that they kind of realised that since UFC came along, people know now a bit more. They're a bit wiser. They're a bit wiser to how, like, submissions work, and, you know, that kind of felt a bit outdated now. It's cool. It's just interesting how wrestling evolves. Dropkick by Perfect. Bossman goes down. My top 4 would be Ric Flair, Tully, Arn, and Barry, says Ryan. They have virtual matches now. That's enough said, says Kenny. Can you imagine if the opposite, they changed everyone's name? Tonight we have Mrs. Loser versus Small Employee Girl. I missed when they dropped the arm 3 times, says Austin. Perfect has got Bossman. We are seriously running out of time here. We're getting to the point where there's only like an hour to go. How are we going to get through these matches? Oh, in fairness, two of the matches are only like a minute long. Oh, God, that was nasty. Yeah, you don't bend that way. That was nasty. It was like a snap mare, but like, Bossman was not really in the right position for it. Perfect climbing up. Oh, Bossman gets his leg up. Bobby can't believe it. I just killed 2 5 elm seed bugs. That's not good news, mate. Why did Sergeant Hart call everyone maggots? It's just a heel thing to say, wasn't it, really? Shut up, you maggots. It's just a way of saying that the people are not worth anything. Just small, pointless creatures. It's just a very PG insult. Again, the kind of thing I could see MJF saying. Perfect. Back up to his feet. And Boss Man. Wow, look at them quick strikes by Boss Man. Do you see Boss Man? He had perfect there. It was like... Bah, 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 bah. Quick strikes to the midsection from Big Boss Man. I don't remember him doing that. Ooh, finished it with a big uppercut as well. I wish he'd have yelled Hadouken. Hadouken! That would have been copyrighted, but... Kicks by Bobby the Brain. Oh! Oh my god, this is just the best era! This is the best! This is the flipping best! Oh my god, Mr. Perfect and Boss Man are wrestling! Bobby the Brain Heenan is getting involved. We need someone to sort him out. Who should we send out? Who should we send out? Who should we send out? Have we got a legend anywhere that we can send out? Have we got one of the most iconic wrestlers of all time? Yeah, let's send him out. We'll send out Andre the Giant. Andre just making his way down. Oh my god. If that was today, it would be Nikki Bella. What's he got in his hand? He's got the Intercontinental Championship. A big Andre chant from the crowd. You can see, man, he's struggling to walk around the edge of the ring, and look. He's in a lot of pain at this point. He can't do anything at this point. Just think of what we were denied. Just think of the matches that we would have had. Do you know what I mean? He's still around. He's still in the business. He still wants to work. We could have had Andre at like loads of WrestleManias doing stuff. Who's going to tell Andre to put the belt down? Perfect gets walloped with the title. I love how Andre just doesn't care. Perfect comes over and Andre's just like, boof, doesn't even look at him. Smacks him in the face with the belt, puts the belt down, carries on walking. Did you see that most wanted treasures with Mark Henry and Big Show for Andre? Mark Henry's bawling his eyes out. He's like, anytime they find something that Andre wore, like he touches it and Mark Henry just starts crying. Like Andre meant so much to Mark Henry. It's amazing. It was amazing. It was a brilliant show. The Andre Most Wanted Treasures. 2. Oh, shoulder up by Perfect. Oh, Barbarian and Haku have come down. And it's going to be a DQ all the same. So even though Andre's on the outside trying to deal with... Andre's grabbed Perfect. He strikes Perfect. Perfect bumping like an absolute monster on the outside. Bossman trying to deal with Haku and Barbarian, the Heenan family. And Andre trips over Barbarian. There we go. Look, chopping away. Big strikes by the big man into the ring post. Barbarian goes into... Haku, could you imagine just being ringside? Just being ringside as Andre's just walking around in front of you. It's just... Oh, look at that as well. Perfect. Tripping over the steps. Bossman wins, but he wins by DQ. And Andre making his way to the back again. Big Boss Man grabs Andre from behind. Look at Andre standing over the Boss Man. Look at the size. Look at the size. Just incredible, isn't he? He's done well, Andre, to walk around that much, in all fairness. I mean, he is just constantly drinking at this point. I think he's constantly got a brace on as well. During that Most Wanted show, they revealed that during WrestleMania 3, he was wearing a big body brace to, like, you know, help it, like, give him some support. So I think he was wearing it a lot here as well. Oh, talking of big guys, how about we just bring out the Earthquake? Earthquake making his way down. Brilliant. Loving it. Absolutely. I mean, I'm loving it now, and I've seen this show so many times. I haven't seen it in a while, in all fairness. But I completely forgot Earthquake. Andre comes down. But just so great. Just so great. He was a legit sumo, Earthquake. As you all know, I know, but just in case anyone didn't. John Tenta. Ah, and there we go, look. What an unbelievable day. My favourite is Edge Jeff Hardy. What is your favourite Doink the Clown match of all time? I feel like there must have been a good one when Matt Bourne was Doink the Clown. Doesn't he have a decent one with Bret? Like, Jerry Lawler was meant to face Bret, but Jerry doesn't fight, and instead Doink comes down, and we end up getting Bret Hart versus Doink. I seem to recall that was all right. I can't remember him having too many pay-per-view matches. Doink. Obviously, him against Crush at WrestleMania 9, but... And then at 10, isn't it like Doink and Dink against like Bam Bam and Luna, which I don't think was very good either. He was just comedy, weren't he, towards the end. But I think when he first came on the scene as like an evil heel clown, he had a bit more freedom to have some good matches at that point. I think by the time you're getting a little bit into the character, it very quickly becomes a comedy character. So you're not going to get great matches then. But I think you could probably find some stuff in 93, early 94 maybe. I can't remember. Was it 93 that it was Bret and Doink when it was meant to be Bret and Jerry? Can't remember if that was 93 or 94. But yeah, I'd say earlier Doink, late. Oh, Greg the Hammer. Greg the Hammer. Greg the Hammer Valentine. I love Greg. Proper throwback. Even he needed to have some sort of gimmick, and they gave him, like, the hammer gimmick and his, like, yellow boots, black trunks, and they were talking a lot about how he used to win with a figure four, and Vince told him, I need you to find a way of just making that figure four a bit more exciting. And all they did was they bought an ankle guard. I don't know what you would wear them for, in all fairness. I don't know what you'd wear an ankle guard for. But he started wearing this ankle guard, and it really got over. Really got over. To the point where it's actually on his Hasbro. I'm going to grab the Greg the Hammer Hasbro. Show you. I grabbed the Doink Hasbro as well, but it's not going to work. Look at that. We got ghost hair. Ghost hair on Doink the Clown. Look at that. Because his hair is green, it doesn't work with the green screen. Never thought about that. How insane is that? Ghost hair. Isn't that weird? That's not what that figure looks like. You can see the outline of his actual hair there. But when I move it there, it looks like I've took the hair off the figure. But I haven't. So, I can see it anyway. There's the Greg figure. Greg the Hammer Valentine. And look, it's got the guard molded onto his... You can't remove it, unfortunately. But that's the Greg the Hammer Hasbro. Had this as a kid. This is original from 91, same year. Same year. This is the action as well. Clothesline action, punching action. So glad I kept these. Could probably do with getting some replaced though. These have been well played with. Well loved as well. Probably my favourite ever toys ever would be the Hasbro ones. Just because, like, I think they look amazing. I think the faces and everything look really good. But I've obviously played a lot with them as well. And unfortunately, the finger broke off on the Doink years and years and years and years and years and years and years ago. We're talking like early 90s. That was a bit of a problem with the fingers being spaced out like that. Good, man. But yeah, that got over to the point where it's actually on his action figure. He's not wearing it in this match for whatever reason. I don't know why. I don't know why he's not wearing it. 91 was the year I got my first kiss. Yeah. Well, I don't regret doing it, Kenny, because it was worth it. It was worth giving you that kiss because then you gave me this Greg the Hammer Valentine. So I'd do it again, Kenny. I would do it again. It was well worth it for this figure. Earthquake squashing Greg the Hammer Valentine, mushing him, and Earthquake picks up the win. All thanks to Jimmy Hart. He's going against the ropes again. Oh, and Greg rolls out the ring. I'm sorry that Doink's fingers broke. So am I. So am I. You should watch the Ric Flair one. I need to watch the Ric Flair one. Yes, I do. Here they are. The greatest tag team ever. Oh, what a rush. The best. The best. Tell him, Hawk. Power and glory. I can't even do a voice as deep as they can. What a rush. Johnny, speak to you later. Earthquake was 28 in that match. Was he really? Flip. How many matches are left? Not many. We've got less than an hour. Power and Glory. Paul Roma and Hercules. I saw a young fan in the crowd. He had the replica shoulder things. I never had them. But I saw there was a young fan that had some. They were made of foam, obviously. They were made for kids, the little replica ones. Let's see if I can find them. Hawk, animal. they sort of sucked, to be honest, the replica ones. Double clothesline by Hawk. I found a picture of the replica shoulder pads that kids were wearing. Just thought we'd have a little look at those, because I never had this. I would have loved it. It sort of sucks. I kind of feel like, I don't know. I feel like they were a bit cheap with the amount of foam spikes they put on it. They could have put a few more. Oh, obviously they're foam because, it's kids and whatnot. Here we go. He's looking. Oh, hits the finishing move, the Doomsday. And that's it. Match is over. That match is over. They're still cool, though. I mean, Legion Doom amazing. But I think they could have been a bit, I don't know. I think they definitely could have made that a bit better. Think how good the tag division would have been over the last few years if Usos, American Alpha, Gallows and Anderson, Ascension, AOP, Heavy Machinery. Looks all right. Oh, Virgil and DiBiase now. Virgil and DiBiase. So now we're going to the $1 Million Man. And we're seeing about how he mistreated Virgil. Look at me, Vince, when I'm talking to you, Jesse the Body. You'd have to smoke and drink like the Road Warriors to sound like them. Midnight Express might have something to say about that. They can say what they want. Road Warriors are the best ever. I'll say that to their faces. Might as well invite round the Rock and Roll Express as well. I genuinely think Road Warriors are the greatest tag team of all time. A lot of it comes down to the booking, of course. They were so protected. Virgil. Nailing $1 Million Man. Hot Rod trying to help Virgil. Trying to train Virgil how to be a wrestler. This is a brilliant story. This was so red hot that Virgil still is obviously doing meet and greets off the back of how great this whole story was. Him being the bodyguard and being degraded and then standing up to the $1 Million Man. Virgil on the outside. We're just seeing DiBiase counted out losing the match. Who's that dude? Look at that. Ted DiBiase counted out, and this random jobber has won because Virgil was distracting him. Here we go. Brilliant. Virgil versus the $1 Million Man. I think the Steiners might be my favourite. Road Warriors probably second. It's a good shout. New Day are my number 2. Hardys would be my number 1, says Edward. Austin said, I think Hardys are the greatest ever, in my opinion. Ryan said, Midnight Express for me. Alexa Bliss Gamer said, I agree, Road Warriors are the best of all time. John said, I agree, Road Warriors were the best. It's one that we had a lot of fun debating the other day. It was a good conversation that we had. Good conversation. We really had a good look at that top 50. And there's, there's a lot of teams that could be that number one. Joking arrogance aside, there's a lot of teams that could claim that number one spot. Here's Roddy Piper. Coming down on a crutch. Chewing some gum. Are you ready? We never got a Piper $1 Million Man feud, did we? Is this the closest we got to it? I don't remember them ever facing, which is sort of a surprise. Because DiBiase was one of the biggest heels, and Piper became one of the biggest faces. So Piper is on the outside, and he's been training Virgil. I love how Virgil gets his own entrance. So Piper's come down, and there's a smile on his face because he knows how good Virgil's going to be. He's been training Virgil to compete against the $1 Million Man. I love Virgil. Virgil's got good music as well, you know. Come on down. And here he is. They haven't given him his music at this point, have they? No, he hasn't got any music at this point. He goes on to have great music. So, great. I love his attire as well. They're kind of like boxing shorts. Tight boxing shorts. White shorts. Red stripe down the side. Virgil. 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 Big Virgil chant. Brilliant. Good footwork. Gets the right hand off. Getting the strikes off. A $1 Million Man selling really well. Lovely footwork. $1 Million Man goes down. People are really into this. He's got more steps than the Temptations. In my opinion, Piper was always number 2 after Hogan, the first guy to become equal in Hogan's spotlight. The greatest Scottish wrestler of our time, says Wrestle with Andy. What, Virgil? DiBiase goes out the ring. WWE says New Day is the best. Brood is better than the New Day, says Jonathan. Does Virgil have a bow tie on? He does not. Virgil. Virgil. So, there's one match after this. And then it's Hogan Sergeant Slaughter. So, 2 matches left after this. That's it. It's flown, man. It is absolutely flown. I normally don't like doing watch-alongs that are over like 3 hours because I just feel like they can start to drag a little bit. This one, I could go another 3 hours of this, I tell you. Crowd have been fantastic. Crowd have been brilliant. We haven't had like loads of great matches. But the Warrior thing was amazing. I think there's been some alright performances. But crowd are really into this. Andre coming out was magic as well. Oh, big clothesline. $1 Million Man goes out the ring. So Roddy Piper has got a chair and is seated at ringside. Virgil jumps out the ring. It's interesting that Virgil didn't have his music here. He has to come out to like just the sounds of like people applauding, but I suppose that's a good thing for him to come out to. Shows how over he is. Doesn't drown them out. 1, to kick out by $1 Million Man. Virgil not in the hall. That is criminal, says Cliff. John said Piper and Ted had a match with each other in 91. There's a Zack Ryder video with it here on YouTube. Piper and Ted had a match with each other in 91. Well, this is 91. So it must be a part of this kind of feud. So Virgil's been getting the upper hand. Days, in the next year's Survivor Series, there was a team of Piper, Hart, Bulldog, Virgil. Seriously quality entrance music for each of those. Yes, I'd agree with that. I really do like Virgil's entrance music. I thought it had a good... kind of really drove nice. Like, it was really good. Really nice. Considering, like, he didn't really do much, like Virgil. He wasn't even really a mid-carder. Very much bottom of the pack. Sort of an enhanced jobber in many ways. He's still got great music. That's Jim Johnston for you, though. He didn't know. He couldn't not do great music, Jim Johnston. He had to keep churning out great track after great track after great track. I think he was writing just great bits of music, and then sometimes they matched the music to the wrestler, and sometimes he specifically wrote the music for a wrestler. I don't know in this case if it was just a case that he had like good bit of music lying around, but either way it worked. So I agree with that. Scary Sherry was Ted's manager. She takes off part of her ring attire before the match. The storyline goes back then were so compelling, not like today, says Ryan. Has anyone seen the pop video Piper made for I'm Your Man? I have not seen that. I haven't seen that. Austin, shout out to you. I'm pleased you're enjoying it. I hope you've had a good day as well. Jonathan says, Happy 4th. Happy 4th to you as well, my friends. I hope everyone in America has had a lovely 4th of July. Had lots of lovely food, drink. Big suplex by $1 Million Man. Looks out to Donald Trump that sat at ringside. And on commentary right now, we've got Bobby and we've got Gorilla, who might be my favourite commentary pairing ever. So we've got goats on commentary right now. Ted DiBiase going for the pin on Virgil. DiBiase, I like how this match has been put together. So Virgil at the start was getting the better of Ted DiBiase. He was using just basic striking. And DiBiase was really struggling with that. But now DiBiase has started to use some real wrestling moves. Just suplexes and clotheslines. It's pretty basic stuff. But the story here is that Virgil, he's not a wrestler. He's had to be trained by Roddy Piper. And so Virgil's just struggling to hang with DiBiase. DiBiase pushes Piper. Virgil goes against the ropes. Power slam by DiBiase. And DiBiase just showing how good he is as a wrestler now. Roddy Piper selling the hell out of the fact he's been pushed over. DiBiase getting to his feet. Virgil getting to his feet. And Piper pulls the top rope down. DiBiase goes out the ring. Oh, and he hits Piper. Piper goes down. And another kick, and Piper goes down. So it's another count-out win. It's a count-out win. Virgil wins by count-out. DiBiase was kicking out at Roddy Piper. And Virgil has won the match double axe handle. Big chop. And $1 Million Dream. $1 Million Dream applied. It's a brilliant move. Look at that dude, man. Proper helping up Roddy Piper. Proper helping him up. Look at the fans. Like, come on. Like, really trying to help him. Physically help him. Roddy trying to get in. Crowd are so into this. They're right there. They're right there. The battle that Piper's been just to stand up. Boom! Smashes the $1 Million Man with the crutch, and $1 Million Man has to break the $1 Million Dream. Here's Sherry. Sherry that we saw earlier. I love this woman. I love this woman. So she joins forces now with $1 Million Man. She's kicking away at Roddy Piper. What fell off? There's a black thing in the ring and I can't tell what it is. Is it like hair extension or something? What is that? She looks like she's in a wedding dress as well. So, Virgil trying to help Roddy Piper. Whatever that thing that she dropped, I don't know if it was her bag. Why would she run down with a bag? I think it's hair. Is it hair? I don't know what's come off. Roddy Piper throwing the crutch at an official. Get the crutch. Just get it out of the way for a second. Piper's just lashing out at anyone and everyone right now. They took off his knee brace. Oh. I forgot about this bit. Totally forgot about this bit. I totally forgot this bit. Virgil telling Roddy Piper to get up. Believe in yourself, Piper. Get up. Get up. I completely forgot this had ever happened. Totally remember it now. Now we're getting like some spiritual weird moment where Piper and his broken knee is trying to stand up. Virgil telling Piper, get up! Get up! Piper's like, trying to stand, and he does, and Virgil catches him, and it's another weird like little moment for the crowd to cheer, but so good, man. Piper's knee is battered, and obviously the feud would continue with Virgil and $1 Million Man. I forgot he did that. Get up. Wow. Reese, shout out to you. How can you forget? I don't know. I'm a sham. I'm a sham of a wrestling fan. Guys, breaking news. I'm clearly not a wrestling fan. I've been making it up. Piper was thought to turn on Bret WrestleMania 8, but it was scrapped. Will you go to the UK tour? I don't think so. I think they're just house shows, aren't they? I say just house shows. House shows can be cool. Seeing Sergeant Slaughter burning Hogan vest. There's General Adnan. I actually don't know who General Adnan was. I don't feel like I saw him before or after this feud. Where the flip where did General Adnan come from? Well, I know his mom and dad loved each other very much. I know that much. General Adnan is an Iraqi. He was Iraqi. Professional wrestler. In 71, he defeated Andre the Giant in Baghdad. What the flip? He beat Andre the Giant in Baghdad? Who knew that Andre the Giant had wrestled in Baghdad? 20 years before this happened, General Adnan had a match with Andre the Giant. He competed in the WWF, and in 1976, he won the WWF tag team titles with Chief Jay Strongbow. Oh my God, I did not know any of this. General Adnan, you little cheeky monkey, you. He competed. He wrestled in the AWA, and then in 1990 he joined WWF again, where he was the manager of Sergeant Slaughter. He wrestled in New Japan. He was a playable character in 2K15. Isn't that amazing? You could be General Adnan in 2K15. He was a playable character in 2K16. So, yeah, he ends up leaving after this feud. But isn't that amazing? After WWF, he joins AWF, where he's the manager of Bob Orton Jr., Randy's dad, Mr. Hughes, and Manny Fernandez. And he knew Saddam Hussein in the early 70s. He knew he was a schoolhood friend. He went to school. He went to high school with Saddam Hussein. In 2006, General Adnan appeared on Fox News, Hannity and Combs to describe what it was like growing up with a young Saddam Hussein. In 2005, his autobiography was published. The Sheik of Baghdad tells tales of life and professional wrestling in Iraq. I bet that is absolutely fascinating. Anyone know what wrestling's like in Iraq? You can find out if you read this book. Wow. Still alive? He's still alive? He's 82? He's still alive? Why is no one speaking to General Adnan? You see, people often ask me, like, why don't you do interviews with wrestlers? It's like, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in talking to Bailey or anything like this. There's so many people doing that. Where's the value? What are you going to ask Bailey? Bailey. How are you? What are you going to ask? But would I speak to General Adnan? Yes, I would. Yes, I absolutely would. Can you tell me what it was like to wrestle Andre the Giant in Iraq in 1971, please? I would find that fascinating. Hang on, we're moving on to a different match here. I'm getting lost in a whole world of Wikipedia. Right, we've got the Mountie against Tito Santana. I'm the Mountie. Fun fact to people that are new to watching wrestling, WrestleMania 7 was the first WrestleMania of The Undertaker. It was. That is a fun fact. Right, we are approaching the final half an hour. The final half an hour. Mountie has pinned... There's Jimmy Hart in a different attire again. How many different attires has Jimmy Hart had tonight? Now he's... look at him bouncing around the Mountie as well. You got Jimmy Hart just bouncing around in the background. Love Jimmy Hart, man. Keeps changing his attire for each of his wrestlers. I only just changed that. Now we got to change it again. Brother! Here we go, brother. The first time seeing Hulk Hogan. Well, you know something, Mean Gene. I was never a massive Hogan fan. As a kid, I would watch this to see what happened, but I wouldn't be that bothered by it. I would want Hogan to win. I mean, I would be believing this is real as a kid, so I would want Hogan to win. He's one of the good guys. Do you know what I mean? I'd want him to win, but I wouldn't be crazy for it. I'd be a lot more into cheering for the Warrior in his match earlier, or Legion of Doom, or certainly the British Bulldog, or the Big Boss Man. They would have been the people I would have been cheering louder for. And Jake, of course. And I would have wanted to have seen the Snake. So this is Hogan versus General Adnan. So Hogan wrestles General Adnan on Superstars. And Slaughter comes in and wallops him with the belt. Someone's got a sign there that says, Slaughter, go back to G.I. Joe. There's General Adnan, look. I'm fascinated by General Adnan now. Why is he holding the belt upside down as well? Camel clutch applied by Sergeant Slaughter as General Adnan is showing the belt to Hogan. Where's Colonel Mustafa, which is the Iron Sheik? Look, he's just walloping people with the flag, the Iraqi flag. Look at Pat Patterson in that bright blue suit as well. I was more of a Ric Flair fan than Hulk Hogan. I also I don't know anything about Pistol Pez. Don't know anything about him. John says Adnan had to retire because of an injury years before this match. Interesting. Loving it. Loving it. I love learning more about old wrestling. It just fills in a few little gaps, doesn't it? And they're always just little fun things to know in the future. Look at the pythons. Lots of Hogan fans. Lots of stars and stripes in the crowd. Celebrity co-host time. Da-da-da-da. Da-da. Right, so we've seen these backstage doing a few interviews. Alex Trebek. I don't know who she is. Merla Maples. Who's Merla Maples? And Regis. Mega Powers, Ultimate Maniacs. I'm a bigger Hollywood Hogan fan. $1 Million Man was probably one of the best technical wrestlers of his generation. Probably should have had a title run. Do you know, there was a little thing on Twitter, I think it was Twitter, and it was like a little campaign to get them to recognize the $1 Million Man's title reign. Because, of course, Andre wins the title and hands it to $1 Million Man. And famously, $1 Million Man actually has a match as the champion. A house show match against Bam Bam Bigelow. So he has an actual match where he is the actual champion. But WWE don't recognize it. And there was a campaign that he has started saying that he wants to be recognized as the champion. that run. He wants that run recognised. So I supported it. I put my name down and supported it. And now I keep getting emails from him saying, do you want to buy this mug? Do you want to buy this picture? I've signed it. I'm like, no, thank you. Right, Sergeant Slaughter on his way down with General Adnan, but I have no idea where Colonel Mustafa is. There's a Colonel Mustafa Mattel figure on the way. I remember seeing it. I think they showed it at WrestleMania this year as part of the Mattel reveals. Love it when the champions wear the belts as well, rather than carrying it over the shoulder. It's a belt. Put it around your waist. So it looks great around the waist of Slaughter. That belt's just the best, isn't it? It's just the best. If anyone else is still like... What's his name as well? Yeah, they just showed the guy that's got a documentary. There's a fan documentary that's been released about that guy they just showed. Vlad. Is his name Vlad? Superfan. I'm wanting to watch that. I'm going to watch that tonight. Is it called Superfan? WWE. Let's have a look. Yeah, the story of Vlad. Official trailer. When's that out? When's that out? Inside. Yeah, so Superfan, the story of Vlad. Don't miss Superfan, the story of Vlad when it debuts this summer, exclusively on Peacock in the US and the WWE Network everywhere else. I don't think it's out yet then. I was going to watch that tonight. They've done a documentary about that fan. They just showed, because he's very well known. Hang on, let me get a picture, because there's no point saying that fan if people aren't watching. Bum, 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 ba-da-da-da, when it comes crashing down and it hurts inside. Ugh. And you hurt my friends, then you hurt my pride. Here's Vlad. I love this. I can't wait to watch this show about him. He's really famous. We've seen him in loads of stuff. I mean, we've just seen him here at WrestleMania 7. I think he went to all of the WrestleManias. And he's always in the front row, and he's always super passionate. And there's Vlad with Shawn. You see, in the orange vest top. That's Vlad. And you can see Vince actually looking on just behind. So there's Vlad with Shawn. And then as we built towards this documentary that's coming out, there's Vlad now. Look, there's Triple H and Steph at this year's WrestleMania giving a plaque to Vlad. And he's been recognised as the first superfan. He's WWE's first superfan. And there's a documentary coming out about him in the summer. Which, honestly, the trailer looks brilliant. I think in the trailer he says, like, I'm not a rich man and all this. Like, it's not like he's got, like, millions of pounds. I think he loves wrestling. He spent his money on wrestling. And I think it's just like, oh, I've changed my background now to Vlad. I was just trying to show you this. I'll keep it. Who cares? Vlad's a legend. We're keeping that now. That's the background. That's the background. There we go. Superfan, the story of Vlad. Legend. I just downloaded this picture to show you. I didn't realise I was changing my background. LOL. Anyway, main event time. Hulk Hogan, Sergeant Slaughter. I want to just have a quick look and see where Colonel Mustafa is. Colonel Mustafa. Iron Sheiky, baby. He returned on March, making his re-debut feuding with first turn. So where is he? He returns in March. Well, this is March. So does he return at this show? I don't know if they bring him back after WrestleMania 7. But he's around Sergeant Slaughter after this. Man, the fans, the crowd are absolutely red hot here as Slaughter locks up with Hogan. Hogan pushing Slaughter back, and Slaughter goes back to the corner. Not long ago, on the WWE YouTube channel, Hogan and Slaughter actually sat down to watch this match. Slaughter was getting death threats. They had to move his family into a hotel. His family had to get out of their home. Like, the hatred for Sergeant Slaughter was insane. They had to get extra security for the show. And originally they were going to be at the Coliseum. That can hold 100,000. And the security for that would have been... I mean, the cost of that would have been insane. Shoulder block. Slaughter just looks at him, nods his head, acknowledges. Another shoulder tackle. Slaughter goes up and over, look. Quite the bump. Someone's screaming her head off there. Green shirt guy had better get a Superfan documentary. Oh, I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will. Straight to the back of Slaughter. Hogan fighting Slaughter outside the ring. Big chop. There's General Adnan, who is we know is actually Iraqi, and was actually a schoolhood friend of Saddam Hussein. Chair to the back of Hogan. Hogan telling Slaughter off. Grabbing Slaughter, hurling him into the ring. Imagine being that big of a heel to have to move out of your house. Jeez. I don't know if it would work now. I don't know if it would work. I mean, people would just... The heat goes in a different place now. Back then, the heat went onto Slaughter. Now it would go onto Vince and Creative. Do you know what I mean? Like, say if America was to go to war. I don't know what country you guys hate over there. I think it's the English, isn't it? Judging by Cody's promo. So, say you went to war with the UK. You know, Anthony Ogogo, like, again, does what he was doing with Cody. I don't think the heat would go onto Ogogo. It would go onto the Creative. Back then, people weren't watching this going, why have they booked this? Why has Vince done this? This is such bad taste. Like, the heat wasn't going on Vince. It wasn't going on Creative. It was going all on Sergeant Slaughter. It was going exactly where it should have been going. It was all going on Sergeant Slaughter. Wrestling's just changed so much. Big strike by Hogan. Wrestler with Andy said, I heard the original plans was for Hogan's main event with Tugboat. We were talking about that earlier. Chic Tugboat, wasn't it? Was it? I think it was Bruce Pritchard that spoke about that on his podcast, which is very good. Learned a lot from that. But Chic Tugboat, apparently, yeah, you're right. This is better, isn't it? This is better to bring back Sergeant Slaughter. It's strange though because he was Mr. This is sort of like Mr. America versus Mr. America. Atomic drop to Slaughter. I don't think I ever felt watching this that like Hogan wasn't going to win. I felt pretty comfortable that Hogan was winning this. Hogan dominating the match at the moment. Raking the back of Sergeant Slaughter. USA has got bigger fish to fry with Russia and China, says John. I know, I was joking. Didn't Iron Sheik get that level heat too? Yes. Yes. So, yeah, he did. I mean, it was very similar as well. I mean, he was Iran, wasn't he? And would come down with, like, the Iranian flag and all of this. And he also has a match with Sergeant Slaughter, but Sergeant Slaughter is the face then. And it's brilliant. It's brilliant. That feud is fantastic between Iron Sheik and Sergeant Slaughter. I think, I want to say it's something like 84, something like that. So I've got a feeling it might have been before the first WrestleMania. So I love thinking about that. If WrestleMania had started earlier, what matches would we have got? What would have been the main event? You know, I think when did Hogan beat the Sheik for the title? When did Hulkamania begin? Iron Sheik, Hulk Hogan. Let's have a look. Knee to the back. 28th of December 1984. So Hogan beats the Sheik in December of 84. The first WrestleMania is like the March of 85. So Hogan hasn't been champion for long by the time we get to the first WrestleMania. So if isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? If WrestleMania had just started 1 year earlier, Hogan wouldn't have been champ. Would have been, surely, Bob Backlund would have been champ by that point. Because Backlund drops it to Sheik, Sheik drops it to Hogan, but Sheik isn't champion for long. So I'm sure it would have been Backlund. So maybe the main event of the first WrestleMania might have been Bob Backlund versus Iron Sheik. Isn't that amazing? It's completely different. I mean, you think of the early WrestleManias and it's Hogan. But that might not have been the case if it had started a year earlier, just 1 year earlier. And the reason I was looking at that is because I wanted to know when was the Iron Sheik Sergeant Slaughter match. Sergeant Slaughter. That was 84. April of 84. So, do you know what? If WrestleMania had been 1 year earlier, I think there's a very good chance. Wow. I mean, Iron Sheik versus Sergeant Slaughter, I think you would have got at WrestleMania, because they were actually feuding in April of 84, and that's exactly the kind of time that WrestleMania is at. So I reckon you would have got that match. So who was Bob Backlund facing in April of 1984? And that'll tell us he was having a match with Greg the Hammer Valentine. There's no way that would have been the main event. Bob Backlund versus Greg the Hammer Valentine wouldn't have main evented a WrestleMania the year before WrestleMania 1. Who would they have done? If you couldn't do Iron Sheik because you got Iron Sheik Sergeant Slaughter, I wonder who they would have gone with. I love that. Just like it's a little thing you can just pick at. You can just pick at it. I found an interview on the 31st of March with Bob Backlund. Hogan on the outside, Sergeant Slaughter with a steel chair. This is insane. I can't hear who he is. I'm watching WrestleMania 7. I'm also just watching an interview with Bob Backlund from March of 1984. I just wondered who he was talking about in this interview, because that would give us an idea who he's feuding with. Crowd are going crazy for Hogan. Hogan struggling a little bit at the moment. January 23rd, 84. January 23rd, 84. What are we talking about? It's interesting, man. It's interesting. It'd be really, really interesting. It's not the right time to do it, but it'd be really, really interesting to sit down, just kind of go through stuff, and just go. If there wasn't a WrestleMania 1, there was like a WrestleMania 0. What would that card look like? Who would the champion be? What would the matches be? Who was the tag champ at the time? Who was the WWE champ at the time? Who was the Intercontinental champ at the time? What would a WrestleMania 0 have looked like in 1984? That'd be really interesting. That's the kind of stuff that I'm all over that. I'd love to sit down and work out, right, well, around March, April, this person had the belt. They were feuding with that person. So if there's a WrestleMania dropped in, you'd roughly get this as a card. Roughly, you would get this as a card. Sergeant Slaughter's got Hogan looking to turn him over. We only got 9 minutes left here, guys. 9 minutes left. So we are right at the end of this show. And Sergeant Slaughter's got the Boston Crab applied, but Hogan is right by the ropes. Just grab the rope. I mean, it's literally there. Hogan trying to power out of it. I mean, literally grab the rope. It's there. It's right there. It's right there, Hogan. Hogan, it's right there. Hogan's trying to, like, power out of this. And now he finally grabs the rope. I don't remember him taking so long to grab the rope there. And Slaughter jumps up thinking that he's won. Slaughter celebrating, thinking that Hogan has submitted. Referee pointing out that he hasn't. Strike to the back, and Hogan goes down. Knee driven into the lower back of Hogan. Days, I've got a joke for you. I rang the pizza shop and asked for a thin and crispy supreme. They sent me Diana Ross. Wonderful. Wonderful joke. Here we go. Sergeant Slaughter jumping out the ring. About to go up top. Sergeant Slaughter just like wiped his head and flicked it at the referee. What a heel. What an absolute heel. And then distracting the referee. They can choke with cables and hit with chairs, but still we get rope breaks. Obviously, there was less titles in those days, so they had to be creative with feuds. The title matches also meant more at the time, in my opinion, says Graham. That is true. I think everything's very slow as well. I think a lot of these storylines play out over a long period of time. I mean, you weren't guaranteed to see everyone on the shows every week. Whereas now, I feel like you see Roman every week. You see Drew every week. You see everyone every week. And back then, you didn't see everyone every week. I kind of feel like, back then, the house shows were the focus. The TV was a way of promoting the house shows. So it's like, come and see your favourites. We'll be here. You know, we're doing this tour. Come and see us. So the TV promoted the house show. And that change has been massive. House show revenue has gone down. And TV money has gone up. And now TV is more important than house shows. But, you know, it was the other way around back in the day. And that change has been a big change. So, you know, now they don't use TV to promote house shows. But they didn't want to give too much away on TV as well. They wanted you to buy the ticket to go to the show. Whereas now, it's not about that. It's not about you buying the ticket to go to the show. It's about getting as much money out of the TV companies as possible and making money that way. So I kind of feel that things were a bit slower back in the day. But you could argue they're a bit more rewarding, a bit more satisfying. Because the payoffs are going to mean more. I read a thread earlier, actually, about Hangman Page and about the journey he's been on. And about how, you know, he wanted the Young Bucks in his corner for the title match when he faced Jericho. They wouldn't do it. He was kind of in with the Elite, and he was tag partner with Omega, and that all fell apart. And now he's with the Dark Order, and now we're building towards him facing Omega. And the fact that this has got a story that's been running for years and years and years, and it's not just thrown together, it's kind of like, it's sort of been planned out that way. I would say it's dragged on a little. I would say that it's not been, like, perfect, but there is a story there for Hangman. Hogan covered with the Iraqi flag. But that's a bit old school, that Hangman story. You know, so used to stories now being done in a few months and then boom, we're on to the next feud. This one's got something that actually connects it really all the way back to New Japan. Blood coming down the face of Hogan. Hogan pointing. That cut is going to need a stitch or two. He's got a proper crimson mask here. Hogan with Slaughter against the ropes. Big boot. Slaughter goes down. Surely the beginning of the end as the leg is dropped. 1, 2. And he gets it. And Slaughter tries kicking out. But he kicks out on 3. Referee counts it. And Hogan is the new WWE champion. Dave Meltzer scored this 2.5 stars. 2.5 stars. Tito versus Mountie was minus 0.5. Ted DiBiase versus Virgil was 2. Legion of Doom versus Power and Glory was a dud. No, didn't run for long. Earthquake, Greg Hammer Valentine was a dud. Perfect Bossman was 2.5. It's a WrestleMania with a lot of matches. Too many matches. You needed to cut some matches here. Some of these matches needed a bit more time. I think they've just chucked everyone on this show, haven't they, really? They've just chucked everyone onto the show. And we've had, like, 15 matches. Like, it's too much. But the only thing I would say is that you fast forward to, like, WrestleMania 35, that's got a lot of matches, and they get a lot of time, and that show goes for, like, 5.5 hours. Like, it's another 2 hours longer than this. It's too long. Fight for the rights of every man. There you go, America. Your man has done it. Your man has done it. I love that woman's voice in Hogan's music. The one that's like proper going off. Oh, there's that woman, the one that was crying earlier. She's been through all the emotions, that woman. That woman there who had tears running down her face for the Elizabeth moment. Now she's happy. She's got her foam Hogan finger. Edward Brown, shout out to you. What was your favourite Mania ever? It's probably 17, isn't it? But I've got fonder memories of this era. I think, like, for me, my first WrestleMania was 9. That's the first one I ever saw. And it was pretty much live. Like, I don't think I watched it live on the night, but I would have got the tape, like, the week after. Isn't that weird as well? Like, I got the tape the week after, so it was pretty much watching it live. Like, could you imagine now if you watched WrestleMania a week late? Just wouldn't work, would it? But back then, like, if you watched it within a week of the show, you pretty much watched it live. You was pretty much there. But, yeah, so 9 was my first. But then, like, I think buying 5 was huge as well. You could see a massive difference as well. Like, if you watch WrestleMania 5 and then watch WrestleMania 9, the difference is huge. Like, in presentation and everything. Like, one's inside and it's a bit stuffy. And then the other one's outside, full of colour. And, you know, you've got, like, Doink the Clown and Yokozuna and all this. I mean, there's obviously characters in both, but there's only, like, 4 years difference. But it's huge. It feels like there's been a big shift from 89 to 93. So I saw 9. It's not a great WrestleMania, but I got a soft spot for it. I saw 5. Love it. That's one of my favourites. Love 5. Love 5. I would say 5 is probably my favourite early one. 3 is obviously just iconic because of the main event. But I don't know that the others around that time are, like, all that great. Obviously, 6 is... We had a lot of fun watching 6. 7, we'll get to the scores for 7 in a sec. So, I love the early ones. I mean, I do love... But I'm around 5, 6, 7. I'm around that kind of time. It was lovely going back and watching 7. I really enjoyed this stream. I think you know when I really enjoy something. Because if I'm a bit bored, I just go where the conversation goes and we... don't really talk about wrestling, do we? Do you know what I mean? We go off having other conversations, but I think when I'm really into something, it's like I want to talk about it and I want to find out more about it, and I'm like, well, what happened here and who's that and when did they start? And so with this, like, we haven't really deviated from WrestleMania or from wrestling. It's not like we've been talking about our favourite takeaway meal or favourite album or all this kind of stuff. And I think where, like, you know, there's matches happening that I just don't really care about, then I'm off doing other things. But with this, just loved it. Just brilliant. It's been a wonderful Sunday night. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. Fire in your scores then. Fire in your scores. What did you think of WrestleMania 7? Brendan says 8. Shaquem says 7. Dylan says 7. What's your favourite match? Easy. Macho Man. Ultimate Warrior. I think it's one of the best matches in WrestleMania history. I think Sherry is fantastic. I think the story, the build is fantastic. I think the ring attires are fantastic. I think the match is really good. I don't think it's a match that you would watch in isolation and say that is Omega and Okada. But it's not meant to be. It's like, it's a very different match for the Ultimate Warrior. It's slow, but, you know, you've got a lot of outside interference. There's a lot of moving parts and things happening. And, you know, there's a lot of, like, spots. And it's just it's a really good match. It might be the Ultimate Warrior's best match. I seem to remember 6 having a lot of rest holds. But that one, it was good. Really good. A lot of Sherry. And I love that woman. I love that woman. So I think that that is just one of the all-time great WrestleMania matches. And then when Elizabeth comes down after and you got fans crying and everything, it's just I'd put that in my top 5. I really would. I'd probably have Hogan Andre at 1. Then we'd be looking probably like Austin. Austin Rock, or maybe Rock Hogan, actually. We'd probably be around that. But I think I'd have to include Macho and Ultimate Warrior. I just think it's brilliant. I love Elizabeth after as well. It's just all of it. It's just brilliant. Slim Jim says 825. C. Rayford says 6. Max says 7. Brian said 7.2. 9.34. Elizabeth says 6. Edward says, please read this. I hate this year of wrestling and the Attitude Era, so I give it 4.5. Okay. James Kenny says, can you download Hulk Hogan's Hot Dog Eater? It's a classic game where you win a year's worth of hot dogs. God, I wish some of these were actually made, James. I think the creativity of your mind is quite scary. I think you're going to have a big future in the app developing world. That's a fact. Graham said solid 8 out of 10. Austin says 6 out of 10. Legend Killer says 6.5. Brendan says 9.32. John said, see, you all got to watch some old NXTs. Alexa Bliss Gamer says 7. Trey Gaming says 8. What am I gonna give this? I am gonna give this. I'm going with that. I think that's very fair. I love Macho Ultimate Warrior. I look back on the main event and it doesn't do it for me, but I understand that it's got a massive build and it's a massive match. And Sergeant Slaughter's getting death threats. And this is like Hulk Hogan, America's only chance, like, to beat up the evil. You know, I get it. So even though, like, it doesn't hit the way that it would have if I was American and this was on at the time, even though it doesn't really hit that same way, I get it. So I still appreciate it. Ted DiBiase, Virgil, that is red hot, you know. Again, you look back at it now and I don't know, perhaps because, like, we don't really care so much. Perhaps now we look back and it's, like, just in the past, but you could hear the crowd going crazy for Virgil. He was so over. He was the Daniel Bryan of his day. Not really, but you get my point. So I think that was really cool. There was tons of just great legends on here. Legion of Doom. It's great seeing, like, Perfect Bossman. That Andre the Giant moment. Flip. Andre coming down is just immense. Andre coming down is just a moment. It's a proper moment. Undertaker's first WrestleMania match as well. Gotta love that. Him against Jimmy Superfly Snuka. I love the blindfold match. The match itself isn't brilliant, but I love the story. And this is the payoff to that story. So I got a lot of time for that. British Bulldog. Love him. Even though, like, it's him and Warlord and we see it loads of times and the match might not mean much. It's two big guys doing what they needed to do. Can he get out of the full Nelson? And he does. He powers out of it, picks him up, power slam. You've got Winston out there as well, which is just really cool. Just Bulldog, just, do you know what I mean? Having a pretty solid singles match. I mean, Meltzer gives it 2.5 stars. It's just solid, average, but I love the Bulldog. Rockers, I thought the opening match was decent, actually. Thought it was a good match. Meltzer giving it 3.5 stars. I think, is that the second best match? Joint second, yeah. Hart Foundation and Nasty Boys. I thought maybe Rockers were better, actually. Rockers and Barbarian and Haku. Great seeing Tenryu as well. Tenryu, as we said, you know, massive star in Japan, and it's great seeing him. I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot here. I kind of feel like this. if someone said to me, do you want to watch WrestleMania 7 or do you want to watch Night 2 of WrestleMania 37? It's not even a thought. It's not even a thought. I'll take WrestleMania 7 every day of the week. So I think for me that kind of says that as a result, this is where I want to be, like, score wise. So I think that's fair. So yeah, really, really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. So massive shout out to everyone that joined us tonight. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Something a little bit different. We don't tend to do these retro watch-alongs all that often, but it's a good one, man. I really enjoyed it. And as we said, we're back tomorrow for Raw. Tuesday, we've got NXT, and of course, the first of the semi-final matches. Wednesday, we've got AEW, but to be honest, my focus is 1,000% on England versus Denmark. I have no idea what my voice will be like. I have no idea in what condition I will be in. It's very hard for me to say what's going to happen with AEW because, honestly, I feel like I'm going to do it. I feel like we will do it and it'll be normal and everything will be the same. But if England beat Denmark and get through to the European final, I have no idea in what state I'm going to be in. I genuinely don't. Like, I will just want to be surrounded in it, and my head will not be in AEW. I know that. But done with the stream, and we can start the other one, then maybe I'm just... Do you know what I mean? I suppose we could still stream it, but I'll probably be drinking and a bit distracted. So, I don't know. Maybe it won't be I don't know. Who knows? Perhaps England will lose and I'll just be crying. Who knows? So, Wednesday is messy. That is definitely the word for it. Wednesday is messy. So, we'll see. That's what's coming up over the next few days anyway. So, massive shout out to everyone that joined us. Really appreciate the support. Thanks a lot for joining. And hopefully, see you again next time. Bye for now.